The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, really quick, if you were looking for the MusicHead upload today, YouTube decided to jerk me. That thing has been processing for the last 4 or 5 hours now. Should have been out. I haven't been treated like this in a long time, but that's the kind of stuff that YouTube does to small channels, especially when you try to upload bigger videos. And this was I think this is the longest video, one of the longest videos that I tried to upload. And so when you have copyrighted material, it can get really sticky when you're a smaller channel. And I haven't had to go through this in quite some time because I haven't been considered a small channel in a long time. So my uploads on that channel always take way longer because you don't take priority on YouTube, right? So what I think I'm going to ultimately do is, if that video doesn't upload at some point, I'm just going to leave it there and see what happens. If it doesn't upload at some point tonight, I'll just take that video and I'll go live with it, which is what I did not want to do. But I will go live with it and just play the video on the live stream. And that way it'll already be up and you guys will have access to it. But yeah, they're jerking me around right now. Pretty good too, I may add. So I just wanted you to know, like, I'm serious about MusicHead and what I'm going to do with it starting this month and all of the extra time that I'll have on my hands now that, you know, the NFL season is off season really is starting to kind of grind to a halt, so to speak. So I did not, leave you guys high and dry. That video, for whatever reason, is just not processing and it won't upload to YouTube. But that said, welcome. Interesting show tonight. I want to start off first by asking you, did you see that Washington had also signed an undrafted linebacker out of Notre Dame? So I'm kind of familiar with him, Bo Bauer, who was a team captain, a guy that was highly respected in that Notre Dame locker room, played about 4 years at Notre Dame, and he was a really solid linebacker, a guy that communicated well, got everybody lined up, solid athlete. And then I think we were 5 games or so into the season, and he tore his knee to shreds. I mean, tore all kinds of ligaments in his knee, was not prepared for the 2023 draft, wasn't healthy, and so no one drafted him. I think he got a cup of tea at someone's camp, but he wasn't ready until like October. He wasn't fully healthy until like October of 2023. And by that time, obviously the season started. Nobody's giving you a look-see at that point. So he's essentially undrafted rookie this year for all intents and purposes. What's interesting about Bo Bauer is not only is he a linebacker by trade, but he's been working on being a long snapper. So it's kind of a unique deal with him. I've never really heard of a player trying to multitask in that regard. I've seen guys try to make themselves available at as many positions as possible to give them the best chance of sticking on an NFL roster. But I don't know if I've ever heard a guy say, hey, I'm a linebacker and I can long snap. That's like a receiver saying, hey, I can catch the football, I can return kicks, and I can kick field goals if you need me to. It's a unique, stance that he's taking. It's I think it's a great opportunity that he's presenting for himself, because we do have his long snapper, Tyler Ott, that we signed this offseason to a 3-year deal. So I don't think he's going to get that job. However, what's interesting is it never hurt anybody to have a guy on the roster who is adept at snapping the football in the event that something happens to your long snapper in the game. No one carries 2 long snappers on game days. So what a luxury it would be to have a guy that you have on the back end of your roster as a special teams linebacker who can also double as a backup long snapper, an emergency long snapper, essentially. I mean, they work on that stuff in practice, and they have someone on the team that in case of an emergency, he can long snap, but you don't want that, right? As we saw with Cam Cheeseman, it can be disastrous if you don't have the right guy back there long snapping. So it's a unique deal for Bo Bauer. He's still a long shot to make this roster, but that's going to give him an increased chance at least, right? It's something unique that not many guys can say. So just thought I'd bring that up. Also, I had the pleasure of finally watching. So they snuck in, the Commanders did. They snuck in a couple of press conferences, little media scrums, if you will. So for whatever reason, normally I like to display duality, meaning I like to check both the YouTube page and the Washington Commanders official team website, because they'll put something. They're really finicky that way. Sometimes they want to force you to the YouTube channel, so they don't put it on the page, or sometimes they'll just put it on the page late. Other times they want you to go to the team website, so they don't put it on the YouTube channel, or I don't know if they just forgot to, whatever the case may be. Some things don't make it to YouTube, other things do. In this particular case, Josh Harris had a little media scrum, and Dan Quinn did as well after Jayden Daniels was selected. So I would assume that it was either after day one heading into day 2, or it was the night of day 1, whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure that it was after the Jayden Daniels pick. I do know that. It was pretty late when those press conferences took place. So not sure if it was that night or the next day. Doesn't matter. Either way, that was the only pick that was made at the time. As you could tell by the way that they were speaking. None of the other picks in the second round had come to fruition yet. They knew they had a bunch of picks that next day or that day. So listening to them talk about, Jayden Daniels and, what that pick meant, what it represents, and it was pretty cool, especially Dan Quinn. You could tell he was fired up. He was jacked up about the pick, what Jayden Daniels represents. I had talked about this already, about part of the reasoning behind Jayden Daniels being the selection, and why Dan Quinn had such an affinity for him. And Quinn, mixed no words. He was like, bro, that's a guy that I wouldn't want to have to defend. And he's like, I'm so glad that we drafted a guy that now is going to be keeping defensive coordinators up from this point forward. So you know what he was all about and why he was excited about the selection. But Harris talked about this process. Obviously, this was the first time he went through this type of process. He talked about the quarterback position and how incredibly hard it is. And, Josh Harris is just a cool guy, man. He seems like a dude. He's easy to get along with, seems to be super down to earth. And I think he's going to be an excellent owner for these guys to work for. And he's exactly what we needed. My gosh. I remember, going through the process. I know this has nothing to do with nothing, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. I remember there were a lot of you who wanted Jeff Bezos, the Amazon mogul, to be our new owner. And you were pushing and pushing and pushing for it. And you wanted Jay-Z, and you loved the idea of Jay-Z and Bezos owning his team. And people got caught up in that Hollywood celebrity bullshit. And again, I'm starting to feel like these last 2 off seasons in particular I'm a big proponent of everything happening for a reason. Like, you may not be able to see it in the moment, and you may not like how things transpired, but it happened for a reason, and you don't always agree with it, right? But seeing how that whole process played itself out, and Bezos dropping out of the running, and Jay-Z not becoming a part owner of this team, the Fertitta guy that just looked like trouble from the beginning, and so glad he had nothing to do with it. Remember the former Duke player, Davis, that he was a head case, right? That a whole thing blew over, and Josh Harris emerged. And we couldn't have asked for a better owner, man. I just look at what the Panthers are going through. Could you imagine if that clown bought this team after we just got rid of Dan Snyder? If we would have run into that clown and he would have been running our team, did you see him go into a local restaurant and berate the owner of the establishment because he had a sign outside of his establishment, essentially talking about David Tepper and what a lousy job he's done thus far, and let's not F up this draft. And so he goes in to kind of like berate him about it. Like, that guy's such a dick. I'm so glad we didn't get one of those type of owners, right? We're blessed. We deserve this, though. I can't stress that enough. We went through everything that the Panthers fans are about to embark upon. I wish them nothing but the best. I wish them nothing but the utmost patience and perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, because they're about to walk into a very dark abyss. And I don't know how much longer he's going to be their owner, but for as long as he's their owner, it's going to be a wild, wild ride. Ouch. But, man, I am so thankful that he's our owner. And the same thing could be said for our head coach, Dan Quinn. Like, we didn't want any parts of Dan Quinn, Looking back on that whole situation, I was perusing through my videos today. I was looking for a specific one when I was setting this video up. And my videos, if you go through them, kind of walk you through the timeline of emotions that we had as fans. And I can't speak for you. Not everybody thinks the way that I do. But I went through a series of emotions with the whole coaching search. Initially, like, going back and watching those videos, that was some nasty work, man. We were essentially lusting after the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. That shit was disgusting. I felt dirty. Like, I needed a bath after looking at some of the titles of those videos and just knowing how I was conducting myself in a very embarrassing manner. I wanted Ben Johnson to be the next head coach of this team very badly. And I just thought it was a foregone conclusion. And what didn't help the situation was that everybody in the media, it was an echo chamber, essentially. Everybody in the media just assumed, oh, it's a foregone conclusion. This guy's going to be the head coach. And so we bought into that. I can't speak for you. I won't speak for you. I bought into that. Hook, line, and sinker. And so I was looking at all the titles of the videos as they were getting closer and closer to making a decision. And it got nastier and nastier and more gross and more grotesque. And I was like, my God, that was disgusting. And then we got to the crescendo and Adam Schefter telling us, hey, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the Ben Johnson to Washington basket. I'm just saying, don't be so hasty to make that decision. And then, obviously, I remember being so upset at Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter don't know nothing. Don't nobody know nothing about what's going on in this organization right now. They got everything under wraps. It's tight-lipped over there. Schefter doesn't know what he's talking about. And sure enough, Ben Johnson pulls the kibosh on us, pulls the rug from right under us. And then I had the Dan Quinn, brace yourself video, right? Dan Quinn's about to be the head coach, and everybody's like, oh, I don't want this guy to be the coach, yada, yada, yada. And just listening to him talk yet again. And every time I hear him talk, I'm even more impressed with him. And I know this dude is a coach. And, I told you my sister's a Falcons fan. You guys know her as Sister Lou. and I've talked about her numerous times. She can't stand Dan Quinn because he lost the Super Bowl. But of all the people that she blames Kyle Shanahan the most, and she's put a curse on him essentially, and she won't allow him to win the Super Bowl. And she doesn't love Dan Quinn though, because he was a part of that carnage and that 28-3 wreckage. But at the end of the day, she knows deep down inside he's a good coach. He's got flaws. He's not perfect, but you learn from your mistakes. And he, we've heard that phrase from him, if I ever got another shot, if I ever got another chance. Well, he's gotten that opportunity. You see how he's done things differently from a coaching staff perspective. He didn't just hire his boys, right? He went out and got a smorgasbord of coaches from all over that have different philosophical beliefs, and he's going to put them in one pot, meld them together, and see what comes out, right? And they're going to figure out a way to make this young, group of football players into winners. And they're going to do it in a unique, different way that is going to make us hard to stop, hopefully, right? And just listening to him talk about Jayden Daniels and talk about the picks that we had coming up and, getting better as a football team, it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside after all the shit that we've gone through. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about what this upcoming season is going to feel like. Because to me, this upcoming season is going to feel like a brand new start. How many players? And I remember the Dan Quinn introductory press conference. Remember when he said he got the biggest compliment from Matt Ryan when he first got to Atlanta. And he said, Matt Ryan told him, I feel like I just got traded to a new team. And he said, mission accomplished. That's exactly how you want players to feel when you come in to a situation. You want them to make it feel like it's totally different, because it is. You don't want it to feel like it did before, because what they felt before is the reason why you're here now, right? So you want it to be totally different. You want them to feel a whole new energy, a whole new vibe. You want them to feel like they're on a different squad, okay? They showed up to the same building, but it feels completely different. We've heard that from a number of players. Deron Payne has said it. Jahan Dotson has said it. We've heard that from at least 4 or 5. F.A. Obata has said it. We've heard it from at least 4 or 5 guys where they're like, yo, I felt like I got traded. I showed up for the first OTA and I was like, bro, whoa, this is totally different. The vibe is different. The building is different. We got different wallpaper. It's a bunch of new teammates, right? It feels like a different vibe. And I think this is going to feel different as a fan. I think this year is going to be different, but we got plenty of time to talk about that. Jayden Daniels had his press conference, and I finally indulged in his presser. What an impressive young man he is, man. I loved his press conference. I loved his message. My favorite part was when he talked about Dan Quinn said that Jayden Daniels has the ability, or I think it was Adam Peters who said this, that Jayden Daniels has the ability to take the soul away from a defense, take the soul right out of a defense. And a reporter asked him in his introductory press conference, what is it like? Explain to us what it's like, what it feels like to take the soul away from a defense. And he said, go watch the Florida game. and the reporter said, can you elaborate? He said, the tape speaks for itself. And everybody bust out laughing. And I laughed because I showed you guys, if you're a member of the mob, I showed you that game. That's like, I always tell you, when I watch guys, I try to see the best in them. So I go and I seek out their best game. And then, I pick out maybe 1 or 2 other games, one that's not so good, and then another game that, seems to reflect positively on them, because I want to see them at their best. I'm not trying to see them at their worst all the time, because then you formulate a bad opinion of them. Not every game is going to be their best. And you need to see that too, so you know what you're getting yourself into. But you want to see them at their best, because that's what you're striving and attaining to and for, is that player to get to that peak performance week in and week out and play that kind of football consistently. And So, I'm a big guy of, hey, if you want to see the best of this player, go watch this game. I always tell you that with players. Go watch this game and you'll get everything you need to know, and you'll see why I like this guy or I don't like this guy. And I showed you guys the Florida game, and I'm like, this is the best example I have of Jayden Daniels. Another really good game to watch is Mississippi State. He destroyed Mississippi State with his arm in that game. Forget about his legs. He shredded them. And I remember, what's crazy is that Mississippi State game. Now that I think about it, that was the first time that I actually gave Jayden Daniels credit, because I was not a Jayden Daniels fan going into the college football season this year. He was trash to me. I was like, this guy's a bum. I remember from Arizona State, his first year at LSU, he was basic. I remember watching him thinking, damn, how much longer him and Jordan Travis, how much longer are you guys going to be in school? Because I feel like I've been watching you guys since like 2018. How much longer are you going to be here, bro? And I remember it was me and my two dudes, right? My two buddies. We were in South Beach, and we had just gotten up. We were walking around and we stopped. I had found a little vegan spot where we were. So we stopped to get something to eat, and we were sitting down eating the food, and they had a couple of TVs on. It was Saturday with college football on. And so one of the TVs was on LSU, Mississippi State. And Jayden Daniels threw a dime. I didn't know any of these players other than Jayden Daniels at the time. He threw a dime to Malik Neighbors in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. And my homeboy was like, damn, that dude nice. And I looked back, I was like, who? Him? You talking about number 5? Jayden Daniels? He ain't nice. Then they showed the replay, and I looked at the throw. I was like, well, that was a damn good throw, right? And then he had a nice little run, and he had another nice throw, and they were shredding Mississippi State. And I was like, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. He ain't nice. Little did I know that was just the start of what was to be a ridiculous, campaign, Heisman Trophy winner, all of that good stuff. But that Florida game, with the 85-yard run, with another run for like 47 yards and a touchdown, the touchdown passes, the one to Brian Thomas to seal the deal. He had another one, I think, to Malik Neighbors early in that game, if I'm not mistaken. He was in fuego in that game. He missed some throws. He wasn't perfect, but every time they needed a play, he made a play in that game. It was it's pretty spectacular to watch. And he said that's what it looks like when Jayden Daniels takes a team's soul. And that was funny. I enjoyed that. Really down to earth kid. I love that he knew some of the history, right? I love dudes that are aware, right? Because so many of these kids have no idea. A lot of them are self-absorbed. They don't know their history. And he's like, yo, no, I was watching the Washington, Commanders from afar. Like, I watched the NFL. I got a couple of homeboys in the league. And so I was following. He's like, I knew about Dan Quinn, knew about him in Atlanta, knew about him in Dallas, knew about what he was doing with their defense. He's like, I knew about Cliff Kingsbury, saw what he did in Arizona, knew about him in college, knew about what he did with Kyler Murray, And he's like, I knew about Adam Peters. He was in San Francisco. I got a couple of homeboys in San Francisco. We know one of his best friends is Brandon Ayuk. So he was aware, and Adam Peters even told the story about having a conversation about Jayden Daniels when he was trying to kind of gather information about where would he be if he came out in last year's draft. And Adam Peters essentially told him, go back to school, bro. You about a 5th round pick. So there was a rumor that was circulating during the draft process that he didn't like Adam Peters and that he didn't want to be drafted here because of that conversation. And clearly that was not the case. But that conversation did exist. It did happen. And, he talked about, Doug Williams and the history. And he's like, first Black quarterback to win a Super Bowl in NFL history. And he's like, yo, I know the history. I know what it means to be a quarterback here in Washington. And he's like, I want to be a representation. I want to be a role model for people of color. I want them to see somebody like myself in this role, similar to Lamar Jackson. He brought up Michael Vick, and I was like, yeah, I get what you're doing there, bro. And I feel you. And Michael Vick's impact cannot be understated. But I'm like, not the best guy to bring up when you say role model, even though it was dogfighting. A lot of people love dogs more than they love humans. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have said his name, but I got it. You know, he looked up to Michael Vick just like he looks up to Lamar Jackson. And he's like, I want to be the next guy in line that a up and coming young black quarterback can look at and say, hey, he's doing it the right way. I want to be like him. So really loved Jayden Daniels, loved his introductory press conference. And I'm going to start diving into all of the stuff that people have been sending me, you know, the coldest balls thing with Kevin Hart, the pivot podcast that he did episode. And then my guy, Derek B, sent me something, and it was like 4 different episodes of something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to start consuming that stuff to even get a better feel for what he is as a person and, you know, what we're getting ourselves into. I'm excited. I'll just say that I'm really excited for the direction of this organization. And speaking of which, I think that takes us to this roster. That's the big conversation for tonight, is this roster. And we went through this exercise before, but it was after free agency. So there were a lot of holes, and the impetus of that exercise was really to determine what we needed heading into the draft. Now we've taken care of the draft, and that's now in the rear view, and we've got a 9-player haul from the draft. We've added an additional 12 priority free agents, bringing the number to 21 new players, but really the 9 are the ones you really want to consider, because those 12 undrafted guys are going to be long shots to make this team. However, as I mentioned, because of the process, the point in the process that we're at, which is the infant stages of this recalibration, these guys are going to have a legitimate shot to make the football team. So we're going to take a look tonight. And like I did the last time with you guys, we're going to make this a collaborative effort, and we are going to try and see exactly what this roster kind of looks like. And you know what's funny is we signed so many guys this offseason, it's easy to forget about 1 or 2 of them. I forgot about one of these guys that we signed, and I was actually excited about him when we signed him. And then I went through the roster and I looked, I said, oh, I forgot about him. We got some good depth, man. Like, this is a totally different roster. Like, I'm trying not to do the thing that I said I wouldn't do, and I'm not going to do it because I said I wasn't going to do it, and I'm going to stick true to my word. I hope I'm wrong, though. But the more I start looking at this roster, and it's going to get, I think, a bit more interesting for me once the schedule is released. And speaking of the schedule, I wanted to throw this out there. Here's my one guarantee for the schedule. The last 2 years, we've played the Chicago Bears on Thursday Night Football. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, because we both sucked ass each of the last 2 years. But they decided each of the last 2 years, we're going to put the Commanders and Bears on national television against one another. I don't know where the Bears are from a record standpoint, and where they finished in their division. I'd like to think that they finished dead last, though. Knowing that Green Bay and Detroit made the playoffs and Minnesota almost made the playoffs, I'm assuming they finished in last place. So did we. So that means, by virtue of that, we're going to play the Chicago Bears for a 3rd consecutive year. With that said, I think, being that the number 1 and 2 overall picks in the draft, both quarterbacks, will be manning up those 2 squads, I think the league makes it a 3rd year in a row that Washington and Chicago meet one another on Thursday Night Football. So that's my prediction. I'm the more I think about it, I'm like, there's no way they let us play the Bears on national television again, right? The first one was just an awful watch, but it did come down to the wire, and it had all kinds of fireworks at the end, right? With the Darnell Mooney bobble and the Benjamin St. Juice. I think it was Juice who got to him and kind of dislodged the ball at the last second. I believe it was him. But it would have been a touchdown had he just caught it cleanly, and to preserve the victory essentially for us. Or he kept it out of the end zone. I think he ended up being short of the end zone because of the bobble. Whatever the case may be, we held on for the victory. And then obviously they beat the brakes off of us last year. So I don't know if they're interested in bringing that back, but clearly brand new faces in both places. Number 1 and number 2 overall picks, respectively, playing for those teams. 2 big markets. I think they're going to put that game on one more time. I wouldn't be shocked if that's a week 9 matchup at 1 o'clock on Fox, though. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and that's going to be my one prediction for the schedule. Washington, and since we played them at home last year, I think that game's going to be at Soldier Field this year. It doesn't have to be. Because we don't know what the do we know the home and away opponents yet? I don't think we do. I think we do know that, don't we? Let me check the schedule. We might have, like, they don't know when, but I think we might have home and away. They may tell us, they may not tell us. Home opponents. The Bears are a home opponent. Yeah. So that's a home game. So I wouldn't be shocked if in week 9, the Bears travel to FedEx Field on a Thursday night to take on Jayden Daniels and the 7-1 Washington Commanders. That's crazy. We won't be 7-1, but that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think also, I'm going to throw this out. We've had the latest bye that a team could possibly have each of the last 2 seasons. Okay, we've had a week 14 bye each of the last 2 seasons, which is just preposterous. Like, if you're a good team, then I'm not a player, so I know the players hated that bye. But as a fan, we think about things from a different perspective. Like, hey, that's a great stopping point if you're a good team to give you a chance to recharge the battery for a stretch run. That bye has been just brutal the last 2 years. 2 years ago, we hit the bye, 7-5-1, coming off of a tie with the Giants, thinking, oh yeah, this bye came at the perfect time. We're going to get Chase Young back for this massive game at home. We're going to come off this bye full of energy and juice, and we're going to smoke the Giants the second time around. And we came out flat. Chase Young didn't play, and we lost that game, and our season went down the drain after that. Last year, season was over a long time ago, prior to the bye. All the bye did was give them an opportunity to fire Jack Del Rio. They fired him after the Thanksgiving game. I think we had one more game after that, the Dolphins game, and then we had the bye week. And then we came off the bye, and we proceeded to get our brains bashed in by every other opponent, left on the schedule. The San Francisco game was pretty competitive. I think that was the first game post-bye. But yeah, it didn't work out for us either year. So my last prediction for the schedule is that we're going to have a early bye this year. And when I say early, like week 6, it's going to be really early, more early than you would like it to be. But I think they're going to overcompensate for the last 2 years being just brutal from a, bye standpoint. Can't get much worse than week 14. And we had that each of the last 2 seasons. So I think we're going to be a week 6 bye, and we'll see what our record is going into that bye week. But anyway, I digress. That's enough of my predictions. We'll see how those things turn out. Let's get to why you're here and the Deppy. All right, the unofficial Deppy. So this is what the unofficial Deppy looks like. We've done this exercise before. We're going to do it again tonight. I think this is going to be a lot more fun because now we have all the pieces to the puzzle now. We didn't before, we do now. And so we can do a better job of kind of really getting a feel for what this roster is going to look like. And I'll take it a step further. We'll go ahead and we'll cover up Andrew. De'Ami Brown is the backup receiver in the slot. We'll cover up Andrew Wiley at right tackle, and we'll cover up Chris Paul at left guard, right? Because those guys aren't starters. And then we'll go from there. And then we'll play around with all of the different names, kind of put everybody where they belong. I think the ones that we want to start with all the starters first. We're going to go down the list of starters on the offense. Then we'll go to all of their backups. And then we'll go through third string. I think we can go through third string pretty confidently now. And in certain instances, I guess a fourth string would be in order. I don't think we really need to go that far back, but we can in certain instances. Like tight end, for instance, you probably can go 4 deep at tight end because you're probably keeping a fourth tight end, more likely than not. I think the magic number on offense is probably going to be 25. If you do it right, you want 25, 25, 3, right? But it doesn't always work out like a perfect number, like 25 on defense, 25 on offense, and then your 3 specialists. Normally, one side is going to have the upper hand on the other. But let's go through this exercise, and all you have to do is type it in the comment section, and we'll go with what name shows up the most. So obviously, we start at the very top. Terry McLaurin is going to start at our X receiver spot, so no need to touch that. We go to left tackle. Who's starting at left tackle for this team? Week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know who we have. Let me go see. The Atlanta Falcons is week 1. All right. We'll get Kirk Cousins coming back to Washington week 1 to take on the Commanders. Who's the starting left tackle at week 1 at home against the Atlanta Falcons? Clyde says Coleman. Journey says Coleman. Tommy says Coleman. Jay Willard says Coleman. Mr. Ron B says a veteran to be determined. Cole Luke, starting at left tackle, says Ephraim. YG DJ says Coleman. John Medrano says Coleman, depending on his preseason. I think Brandon Coleman is going to be the starting left tackle too. He played the left side in college, so if Cole Luke is starting, he'll be probably starting on the right side. So let's go with Brandon Coleman, and let's put Brandon Coleman in as our starting left tackle. All right. So we got Brandon Coleman. There we go. We got Brandon Coleman in as our starting left tackle. All right. So now let's get to left guard. Who's our starting left guard? Who's our starting left guard? Who do you guys have starting as our left guard? Tommy T says Nick Allegretti. Bari says Nick. Tracy Cooper, Nick Allegretti. Jay Willard, Nick Allegretti. Legendary One, Nick. Sand Gang. He says spaghetti. So Ephraim says spaghetti. John Medrano says Nikki A. Martin Matthews, Nick. So, okay, the consensus is we're going to roll with Nick Allegretti, okay? So let's go ahead and remove that cover. off of Nick Allegretti and go ahead and pencil him in as the starting left guard. All right. So Allegretti's at guard. Who's at center? I think this is a pretty easy one to determine, but I'll make sure that we're all in agreement here. Who's our starting center? Face Vengeance, Tyler, Lone Wolf, Biotish, Ghost Rider, Tyler, Clyde says Tyler. Everybody's saying Tyler. So, yeah, they didn't sign him to a 3-year contract for him to sit on the bench. If he's healthy, and I don't see any reason why he won't be, Tyler Biotish is your starting center. So, Sam Cosmi is already penciled in as the right guard, so we don't have to do anything there. Who's our starting right tackle? Who's our starting right tackle? Who is our starting right tackle? All right. So Shane says Trent Scott. Rockman 1033 says Lucas. Clyde says Lucas. Tracy Cooper says Wiley. Tommy T says John Jensen. Johnny Reed says Cole Luke. John Madrano says Cole Luke. Ephraim says Willie. Donovan says Lucas. Jacino says Lucas. Barry says Lucas or Trey. And I think you meant Trent. Video channel says Braden Daniels. David Vine says Wiley. Derek Allen says Braden Daniels. Lucas. YGD Lucas. O'Neal Lucas. Yeah, there's more Lucases. I think it's going to be big Cole Luke when it's all said and done. We can't be assured of that. But right now it's starting to feel like it's going to be Cole Luke. So we'll remove this cover here and we'll insert Cole Luke here on the offensive line. And it's Brandon Coleman is bothering me. Yeah. We got to get this thing right. I told you I got OCD. All right, that's better. I can live with that. All right, so that's the starting offensive line. I don't think it's a bad group. Is it a great group? No, absolutely not. It's not a great group. We don't know if it's a great group or not. Let me say that. On paper, it's not a great group. Sam Cosmi, Tyler Biotish are the only two guys that have starting experience, consistent starting experience. And even Cosmi only has 1 year of starting experience at guard now. It was a damn good 1 year, but it's only 1 year, right? Cole Luke has started, but he's a spot starter. He's never been the guy going into the season, not at least here in Washington. Maybe in Detroit, maybe in Chicago or somewhere else, he was the guy going into a season. But clearly, he's never been looked upon as a year in, year out starter, right? So Allegretti is going to get an opportunity to compete. We don't know if he'll be the starter or not, but I don't think that's a bad group, right? And the more I watch Brandon Coleman, I can't speak for you guys. The more I watch Brandon Coleman, the more impressed I become. And a lot of people are starting to be like, yo, Brandon Coleman has a chance to be really good. And some people see him as a guard. Some people see him as a tackle. He's played both. Brandon Coleman has a chance to be a solid NFL starter, I believe. So, all right, who's the starting tight end? Who's the starting tight end? Everybody has said Ertz. Everybody says Ertz. I've seen one or two. I've heard people call him Senate. I think his name is pronounced Senate. It could be Senat. I got to go back and listen to when he was drafted by Washington. Because I didn't actually listen to when his name was announced, because they have the pronunciation on those cards, so whomever is reading it can pronounce it correctly. I need to see if it's Senate or it's Senat, because when I was watching, I usually watch the tape on mute, right? And when you're watching the all-22s, there's no sound anyway. But then I watched a game because there was a particular game that I wanted to see him in, and I didn't have the all-22s of it. So I went to YouTube and found the game, and they called him Senate on the telecast. So I'm like, is it Senate or is it Senat? I don't think they would mess his name up on the telecast. I would like to think that the broadcasters would know how to say his name. And sometimes you'll get a guy that jacks up a name, and then the play-by-play guy will correct him without correcting him. Just say the name right. Both of them called him Senate. I think it's Senate. Anyway, I think it's Senate. Zach Ertz is the starting tight end. I think you guys are all over this. I saw a bunch of he could be passing the torch at some point during the season to Ben Senate. I'm going with Senate. I think it's Senate. But right now, Zach Ertz is the guy. He's the leader in the clubhouse for sure. All right. So far, we got Terry McLaurin starting at X, Brandon Coleman starting at left tackle, Nick Allegretti starting at left guard, Tyler Biadasz starting at center, Sam Cosmi starting at right guard, Cornelius Lucas starting at right tackle, Zachary Ertz starting at tight end. Who's wide receiver 3? We got Jahan Dotson as your Z on the outside. You could flip-flop these. Jahan could be inside, and whomever you have here could be your 2. Jahan is outside for now. But again, these are interchangeable parts. The real question is, who's your wide receiver 3? Okay. All right. So we had a bunch of Lukes, bunch of LMCs. Yeah. Okay. There are a few Crowders sprinkled in there, but we all know Crowder's a backup at this point of his career. He's a backup. They drafted Luke McCaffrey to step in and play right away. So we'll go ahead and grab Luke, and we'll put him in as the wide receiver 3. All right. So Luke McCaffrey is penciled in as the wide receiver 3. Jahan is your wide receiver 2. Quarterback, who we putting in quarterback? Do I even need to ask this? Do I even need to ask this question? The last time we did this, we left this position blank. I am so glad that this thing is no longer blank. Somebody said, Jake Fromm, we need to, mods, get that person. I'm playing. Mods, get those people who put Jake Fromm in the comment section out of here. Nah, I'm kidding. Boy, I'm so happy we have this quarterback thing settled, man. Yikes. I am so glad that is no longer a thing. You remember that scene on Waterboy when they show up to the pep rally that they're having, and the Bobby Boucher's girlfriend, Vicky Valancourt, grabs the big meanie, the defensive lineman, and puts a knife to his throat. And after, you know, the coach talks her off the ledge from slitting his throat, he's like, officers, get her little pretty ass out of here. Or no, get her little country ass out of here. That's how I felt about all the people that just put Jake Fromm's name in the comment section. Mods, get their crazy asses out of here. Nah, I'm kidding. Jayden Daniels is the quarterback of this franchise, and I couldn't be more elated about it. So we finally got a name here. This thing was blank last time, and that's a scary proposition to have your quarterback situation blank. But we've taken care of that. Jayden Daniels is the guy, and so boy, that looks good. That looks really good. Okay, so this is if this is what your starting lineup looks like going into the season, you got to feel really good as a Commanders fan. Jayden Daniels at quarterback, Brian Robinson Jr. at running back, Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin as your starting receivers with Luke McCaffrey in the mix, Zach Ertz at tight end. And yes, we have questions about this offensive line, but I don't think it's as many questions as we had last year, right? Biadasz is an upgrade over what we had last year at center. We didn't know if Cosme was any good at guard last year. We were hoping, our fingers were crossed. We know he's good at guard now. Cornelius Lucas, we're comfortable with him. Do you want him starting? No. But are you comfortable with him starting? Yes. But you would be even more comfortable if he was your swing tackle. Yes, I agree with that. But you know he's capable, right? Don't know about Allegretti. That's a same with Brandon Coleman. Don't know about that whole left side. Okay, don't know about it. But we're gonna find out, and we'll know a little something by the time we get to camp. We'll find out. Like we should have known the very first preseason game. Andrew Wiley got his ass whooped. That offensive line got their asses kicked by the Browns' first unit, if you recall. Okay, that should have told us all we needed to know about what we were getting ourselves into. We'll know about Brandon Coleman. We'll know about Nick Allegretti very early on. We'll know. We'll know. All right. So let's go to backup positions now on offense. So Diami is the backup to Terry as the X, so we can leave him there. No issues with that. Backup left tackle. Who we put in there? I'm gonna let y'all do that first, and then we'll see what you guys say, and then I'll either follow up with what y'all say, or I'll tell you what I think. I'm gonna let y'all go first, though. Jay Willard says Scott. Double O Bullets says Scott. Clyde says a street vendor. Tracy Cooper says Lucas. Well, Lucas is starting at right tackle, so he can't be your backup left tackle. Lucas says Rockman, but Lucas is starting, guys. You can't have him at your backup tackle. He's starting. He's starting as your right tackle. Theoretically speaking, if something happened to Brandon Coleman, Cornelius Lucas could shift over to left tackle, and then you could insert Trent Scott. But for the purposes of this exercise, Trent Scott is just going to be our swing tackle. So he's going to be backing up both left and right tackle for me. Let's see that's how that's going to go right now. So let's just put Trent Scott in here as the swing tackle, and he'll be backing up both left and right tackle. All right, left guard. Who's our backup left guard? Who do you see as the backup left guard? This is where shit gets interesting. I don't think any of us know who the hell is going to be the starting left guard, the backup left guard. Like, we have no idea what is going on here. We no clue. Let me see what you guys have to say, because this could be anybody. This is where I think the depth on this roster starts to show, but we're not sure how good it is. But we got a lot of it. Just because you have a lot of it doesn't mean it's any good. You just have a lot of it. We got a lot of interior offensive linemen, man. You know, I don't know. I don't even know what Jayden Daniels is. Is he an interior? Is he a tackle? He was drafted as a tackle, but is he going to kick inside? We have no clue, right? So let's go through this thing and see what you guys have to say. This is going to be interesting. I see a lot of names, man. Good grief. This is going to be interesting. Tracy Cooper says Jayden Daniels then. So you were talking about tackle. We talking about guard now. Derek Allen says Wiley. Lone Wolf says Scott. Red Wing 01 says Daniels. Legendary One says Daniels or Scott. So I think you guys are still talking about tackle. Quayface says Wiley. Dean Gabare says the enemy's white boys. So he's talking about Andrew Wiley. Let's see. Jacino says Mason Brooks. That's a name that you shouldn't forget about. Again, we got so much stuff on the interior of this line. It's ridiculous. Tommy T says Wiley. YGDJ says Ricky Stromberg. Again, don't forget about Ricky Stromberg. Mr. Robbie says maybe Daniel surprises. We'll see. Red Wing 01 says Brooks. Mason Brooks. Jay Willard. A lot of people just automatically forget about Chris Paul as if he doesn't exist anymore. But he started the most games at left guard last season, right? After the early season debacle. He started the most games at left guard, I believe. Or I think he might have, I think he started the most games at left guard last season, I believe. Rockman says Daniels. Legendary One says Wiley. Elijah Harris says Brooks, please. Donovan Gregory says Braden. Swaggy P says Daniels. Red Wing says or Chris Paul, which again, don't forget about Chris Paul. Legendary One says or Ricky. See, everybody all over the place. You got 2-3 different names you're throwing out there. We have no clue, right? And this is going to be the fun part about getting to camp, getting into the preseason and watching these guys, because this shit is important, because you're one injury away, you're one whatever away from whomever is backing this guy up getting in the game. We need to see somebody emerge as a legitimate option. Like, I want this left guard position, the battle for it, I want this shit to be neck and neck. Honestly, like somebody's gonna go into camp with the upper hand. That's something else that listening to Dan Quinn talk about this roster, he's like, bro, it's going to be competition all the time. Like, they tried to get a starter answer out of Dan Quinn. Is Jayden Daniels going to be your week 1 starter? He said, look, man, all I know is we're promoting competition. It's competition for every single position, and that doesn't exclude quarterback. Everybody's going to compete. Jayden Daniels is your week 1 starter, but that's what I want to hear for some of these positions. Like, Nick Allegretti might go into camp penciled in, but don't just give it to him, right? Like, be swapping these dudes in and out. Let's get some reps with other guys. I want to see who's the best at guard. I know you got to get reps, and I know the more reps you get, the better you are, and you know, the more in sync the line is, but I just need to know. Rocky D, Sadiq Charles is no longer on the roster. He's gone. So this is a toss-up, man. There's at least 4 different names here. 5 different names. Man, this is tough. The name I saw the most was Stromberg and Brooks, with a close second with Chris Paul, but the two that were tied were Brooks and Paul. And I'm gonna put Chris Paul there since he was the starter last year, and he didn't play poorly. I'm gonna put Chris Paul there for now. But that's definitely subject to change. Center. Who's the backup center? Who's the backup center? Who is the backup center? All right. So I see Stromberg crushing this one. So we're going to go with, I wouldn't discount Michael Dieter. They signed him from the Texans. But I'm in agreement with y'all. I was advocating for Ricky to get an opportunity to just start there. So y'all already know how I felt about Ricky. I think he can play. I think they're going to value him too. I don't know how they felt about Ricky last year, but Ricky played in the SEC, and you know that counts for something. That gives you an extra, point when you start and play well in the SEC. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Stromberg's our starting left guard, to be honest with you. Like, I know y'all don't really care for this man anymore, but on his way out, in an interview with John Kahn, Charles Leno said Ricky Stromberg can play. And he said when this next group gets to actually lay eyes on him and watches him, they're going to find out very quickly that Ricky Stromberg is a much better offensive lineman than they anticipated. I believe him. They already signed Tyler Biadasz, so I think that's going to be what it is. But Nick Allegretti was brought here. His contract does not state that he has to start. His contract, he literally signed the Wes Schweitzer contract. And Wes Schweitzer was not a starter here. He was the first backup off the bench. He was like the sixth man of the offensive line. Anybody got hurt on the interior, and Wes Schweitzer was going to be the first dude in the game. Nick Allegretti could ultimately be that for us because he played both guard positions and center in Kansas City, but he's more of a guard. So I wouldn't discount Ricky Stromberg as the starting left guard, but we'll see. I will put him at backup center for now. Who's the backup right guard on the team? Who's the backup right guard? I see some Brooks. I see a lot of Brooks. I see Dieter. Dieter is not going to be our. I'm going to tell y'all right now, it ain't Dieter. It ain't Dieter. It's not Dieter. Dieter is a center and a center alone. Okay. It's not Dieter. All right. I see somebody said Julian Good Jones. Yeah, you went in the bag for that one. All right. So I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I see I think that Mason Brooks got the most votes out of everybody. I saw his name the most. But I'm telling y'all right now, and y'all are being unfair to this man because you are so down on him as a tackle. But him as a tackle is not the same as him as a guard. It's Andrew Wiley. Okay. And see, we decided this the last time. Andrew Wiley was going to be our backup right guard. And again, he could start at left guard. Andrew Wiley could, as a veteran who's seen it, who's done it, who's played in this league and started at left guard, he could end up being like that. Left guard is so intriguing because nothing is set in stone there. Nothing. We have no idea what is going to happen at left guard. None. Nick Allegretti could be the starter. Ricky Stromberg could be the starter. Chris Paul could be the starter. Andrew Wiley could be the starter. Jayden Daniels could be the starter at left guard for all we know. We have no clue. We're going to leave Trent Scott as the swing tackle to back up right. All right, TE2. I think I know where this is going to go, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. I'm going to ask the question anyway. TE2 is Cooley Jr. Sanat, the rookie. Okay, enough said. I agree. You twisted my arm. Let's get old Ben Sanat in as TE2. All right. So that's that. Now, let's get to who's backing up Luke McCaffrey in the slot. Is it Jamison Crowder or is it Olamide Zaccheaus? Don't forget about Olamide Zaccheaus, who they brought in here. One of those two is going to be backing up Luke McCaffrey. And honestly, whomever's backing him up will probably be the fifth and final receiver on the roster, unless they decide to keep six. And being that Crowder is also doubling as a return man right now, they could keep six just to keep him, for return purposes. But with the new rules, you probably need a dude that can return kickoffs too. And if you don't already have a guy on the roster that can do that, you might want to find a guy that can give you both. So Crowder, Zaccheaus, Crowder, Zaccheaus, Crowder. All right, so you guys have spoken. It's going to be Jamison Crowder. Let's get him in there as the backup. Let's put him in right there. We'll remove this white cover. And Crowder is now locked in as your backup behind Luke McCaffrey. So who's backing up Jahan as your number two? I guess you probably could just put, my guess is you just put Diami there. Or you could put Luke McCaffrey there again. But for the purposes of this exercise, we won't duplicate any names other than Trent Scott backing up both tackle positions. So when we know when the real depth chart comes out, though, you'll have duplicates all over the place. So it could easily be, I think it probably should be Diami Brown, to be honest with you. And that's what I think. We're just going to put Diami there, backing up both of the outside receiver spots for now. All right. Backup quarterback. Who's QB2? Another easy question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who is QB2? George, you think this offense is horrendous? Really? I don't see that. I don't see horrendous, man. I don't see it. Yeah, it's Mariota. It's zero, man. Zero strength. All right. It's Marcus Mariota. Did y'all see the picture that was circulating today? Jayden Daniels in his high school jersey. And I'm assuming his team was the Titans. They had the Titans jersey essentially, and he was number 8. I wonder if he did that on purpose, because I'm pretty sure at that time he was in high school. Marcus Mariota was the number 2 pick in the 2015 NFL draft with Jameis Winston. That picture was either from 15 or 16, because Jayden Daniels didn't get to Arizona State till 2018. So he was in high school and Mariota was already playing for the Titans, and he was wearing number 8. I don't think that was a coincidence. That was interesting. That was a pretty interesting picture. I wonder if he showed that to Mariota yet, or when he gets to Mariota, will he show it to him? Like, yo, bro, I was a big fan of yours. Even if that's not true, that's what I would go with. I'm like, man, I thought you was so dope, man. I watched you at Oregon, and we were the Titans, and so I got number 8 because of you. You just blow his head up, man. Make him want to take you under his wing even more than he already is going to want to, right? Anyway, I digress. Backup running backs. Another one of these questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What y'all got for the kid? Backup running back. We all know the answer. All right. Yeah, this is a dunk. This is a slam dunk. It's Austin Eckler. All right. It's Eck. So now we're going to go through a few positions with the third string. We don't really need to do that for receiver because with just the 3 positions and the backups, you got a total of 5 guys, possibly 6. I think we can do it for the slot. We can put another receiver there. If you want to put Olamide Zaccheaus there, we can as the third string slot guy, but we don't need a backup 2. I mean, we got Mitchell Tinsley as the backup 3 to the backup 2, the third string Z receiver. So we can leave him there. And if you want to put Olamide Zaccheaus there, we can do that when we get there. But we don't need another backup for Terry because you already got 6 receivers with just these 3 positions. It's the Z, the X, and the slot already. So let's go to left tackle, third string left tackle, which would really be the backup to the backup if we have one on this roster. No, Byron Pringle is not still on the team, Justin. Byron Pringle is gone. That was an EB guy anyway. He was here because of EB and his ties to Kansas City. And he didn't play poorly last year. I like what he gave us personally. But no, he's not here. All right. Everybody says it has to be Daniels. My guy Red Wing says it has to be Daniels. I see Daniels in all caps. Okay. Y'all twisted my arm. Let's get Braden up here. And let's move Braden to backup left tackle, third string. All right. Left guard, backup, third string guard. We got options, man. This feels real Mason Brooks-ish to me. What says you guys? Third string guard. And I think, honestly, we probably can just put him, he could be both of them, but we just need one. We don't need to. We could just do one because left guard is so wide open. Right guard is pretty much settled. If it's Cosme starting and Wiley backing him up, we don't need anybody else at right guard. But left guard, that's wide open. So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and do that. Put Mason Brooks as our third string left guard. That feels good to me. All right. Backup center, third string center. Y'all got anybody in mind? You got anybody in mind? Ephraim says this O-line is scary bad. Megan says this O-line is mid as F. Michael Dieter. Ding, ding, ding. Larson is gone, Mr. Ron B. Tyler Larson. That was a Ron Rivera guy. He's not going to show up here. All right. Michael Dieter is going to be your guy here as your third string center. All right. Let me slide over Jayden Daniels just a tad bit. That makes me feel a lot better. All right, we good at right guard and we good at right tackle since we already got our swing tackle and then Jayden Daniels. So you're not going any deeper than that. So let's move on to tight end. This is an interesting one. Who's TE3, guys? Is it Bates? Is it Turner? Is it Amani Rodgers? Who's TE3 in your mind's eye? Because we keeping 4 of these bad boys. So let's go ahead and clean up tight end right now. Who's third? Who's third tight end? Who's TE3? I see a bunch of Bateses, a couple of Rodgers. Bates. I see some more Amani Rodgers. I see a couple of Cole Turners sprinkled in. Yeah, Bates has got it. It's a lot of y'all put in more John Bates than anything else. I tend to agree with that. I think his ability to block is going to hold value with this group. They're going to like the athleticism of our Rodgers and maybe even Cole Turner to a degree, but it's the ability to block that ultimately is going to make John Bates what I think an invaluable resource here. I think he gets the nod. So we're going to go with John Bates as TE3. Who's TE4? Who's TE4? Who's TE4? This is the last spot at tight end. So either you keep in Amani Rodgers or you keep in Cole Turner. All right. You got to pick one, Derek Allen. You can't pick both. We pick it between those two. You can't pick both of them. Chubbs Malone says Colton Yankoff. He ain't making the squad over those two dudes, man. I saw more Rodgers, Amani Rodgers, than I did Cole Turner's. Not by much, though. That's a tough one. That fourth tight end spot is a tough one because you're essentially picking between two athletes, and both of them came in, so it's not like you get an advantage. Both of them came in the same year. Both of them are in the third year of their rookie contracts, so they're very similar. But Amani Rodgers is the better athlete. Now he's more raw, but remember when we got Cole Turner, he was making the transition from wide receiver to tight end as well. So it's not like one of these dudes has been playing the position that much longer than the other. They're both extremely raw. The only difference is Rodgers has less NFL experience. Getting hurt last year really crippled his growth at the position, whereas Turner, at least he was healthy. Now, he didn't play a whole hell of a lot still, but at least he was out there getting reps in practice and things of that nature. So I digress. Let's go with this third receiver here. Do you guys want to put Olamide Zaccheaus in here as the third receiver in the slot? Is that something you guys want to do? Or you good? You don't have to do that. We can cover up Jamison Crowder's name with a blank. How y'all want to go about this? Tinsley's already in, so you don't have to go about Tinsley. Tinsley's already the third string behind Jahan as the Z, so you don't have to worry about Mitchell Tinsley. Matter of fact, how about we do this? I think that's even better. How about we do this? We got De'Ami Brown penciled in as the backup Z receiver, right? Or X, excuse me, behind Terry. Do you want to make Mitchell Tinsley the backup Z behind Jahan? Do you want to do that? You want to make Mitchell Tinsley the Z receiver backup behind Jahan? Mr. Ron B says no. I see a yeah. Yes. Okay. So that's what we'll do. Is we'll change De'Ami to Mitchell Tinsley. And that way, Mitchell Tinsley is in the mix. I don't want to forget about him because I actually think he can play. And just scoot him over. And then we can slide Olamide Zaccheaus here, right? Or here is probably where he would go. Here. And then we'll put a blank over this Mitchell Tinsley right here. So I think we should ride like that. I like that a lot. All right. Last big decision. Okay, 2 more decisions. Excuse me. I misspoke. 2 more decisions. Okay. 2 more decisions. Third string quarterback, QB3. Who's it going to be? Is it Jeff Driscoll? Is it Sam Hartman? Is it Jake Fromm? Who's QB3? All right. So you guys have spoken. It's Sam Hartman. Now, I think they brought Sam in here to compete, and really the preseason is going to tell the story between him and Jeff Driscoll. When you're starting a rookie quarterback, you usually keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. That's just standard protocol. And I think it's even more imperative with the new rule that they have set in place where you keep that third emergency quarterback on your roster. If you have a third quarterback on your roster, you can make him active on game days and be your emergency, and he won't count against the active game day roster. I think it makes it more likely that they keep a third quarterback on the roster. And then I'll take it a step further. You got 2 mobile quarterbacks. You got Jayden Daniels and Marcus Mariota. Both of them could easily sustain something in a game, right? I'm not going to put that out there, but it's almost a necessary evil to have a third quarterback with the kind of quarterbacks that we will be putting on the roster. Like, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, yes, it's easy to keep 2, but they always keep a third quarterback, right? Because you got Lamar Jackson and you had Tyler Huntley. You could easily be without a quarterback in a game, right? You never want to think about that, but the reality of the situation is. Anyway, I think y'all sleeping on Jeff Driscoll. He'll probably play much better than Sam Hartman. But y'all pick Sam Hartman. I'm not gonna go against y'all. Y'all pick Sam Hartman, but Jeff Driscoll is gonna probably play really well in the preseason, and he's a veteran. He's probably gonna play really well. They're gonna give Sam an opportunity, I think, and if he shows well, he'll be number 3. I think he's gonna be on the practice squad, and I think Jeff Driscoll is gonna be your QB3. But I digress. All right, last massive decision. RB3. The incumbent Chris Rodriguez Jr. takes on none other than Mr. McNichols himself, Jeremy McNichols. Do we have another roster spot for a third Jeremy? We got a Jeremy Chin. We got a Jeremy Reeves. Do we have space for a third Jeremy on this roster? Yes or no? Richard Motley, I hear your jokes. Okay, I hear your jokes. All right, we'll leave C-Rod alone. Y'all have spoken. C-Rod stays. He'll have some competition this year between Wiley, I think, Michael Wiley out of Arizona as the undrafted rookie, and Jeremy McNichols. I won't rule him out. Jeremy McNichols, I will not rule him out either. Don't rule out any guy that they brought in here. Okay, just as a rule of thumb. Anybody they brought in here, do not rule them out. Doesn't mean they're going to end up earning a spot, but do not rule out anybody that they brought into this building, okay? Don't rule anybody out. So let's tally up the amount of offensive players we have right now and see what that number looks like. See if it's outrageous and how we would have to kind of trim this thing down, right? Trim off some of the fat. So, matter of fact, we're just gonna leave that as is. No, let's count it up. I want to count it up right now. Terry is 1. Coleman is 2. Allegretti is 3. Let me get my pencil out. I don't want to have to keep this tab. So we'll put offense. Terry McLaurin is 1. Coleman is 2. Allegretti is 3. Biotish is 4. Cosme is 5. Lucas is 6. Ertz is 7. McCaffrey is 8. Dotson is 9. Daniels is 10. Robinson is 11. De'Ami Brown is 12. Trent Scott is 13. Chris Paul is 14. Ricky Stromberg is 15. Andrew Wiley is 16. We already counted Scott once. Sanat is 17. Crowder is 18. Tinsley is 19. Mariota is 20. Eckler is 21. Daniels is 22. Brooks is 23. Dieter is 24. Bates is 25. Zacchaeus is 26. Hartman is 27. Rodriguez is 28. And Rodgers is 29. So right now we got 29 offensive players, which we know we're not having 29 players on offense. So we'll come back at some point and we'll trim off some of this fat. Let's see what we do on the defensive side, though, first. So let's clear the deck, and we'll come back a little bit later on, and we'll trim off some of the fat and kind of get this thing where it needs to be. But for now, all right. So the deck is clear. Let's shift over to the defensive side of the football. And we got some work to do here, man. This is going to be a good unit, though. But let's cover up Jamin Davis at middle linebacker, because We all know that is not happening. All right. Let's cover up Benjamin St. Juice at our starting corner, because that ain't happening. Not as of right now. Who knows? He could end up being our start. And Percival Butler, let's go ahead and cover him up as well. He won't be starting at free safety for us. So let's cover that up now. And then as we get our starters in there, we'll take those covers off, and then we'll cover up the second unit, because I think a lot of that is going to change too, right? So we'll start covering up some of these second unit guys. Let's start with the first defensive end. So who's our first defensive end? All right. So I see Dorrance Armstrong. Clearly, he is the number one. All right. So let's get up in now, and let's get Dorrance Armstrong. Wow. Starting defensive end. Got Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen starting at defensive tackles. So that is clearly going to be the case. Who's this other starting defensive end? We debated this till the cows came home last time, and we was like, hey, we're going to get one in the draft. Don't worry about it. Well, we didn't get one in the draft. So we have to worry about it now. So we put a placeholder in there last time. I think he's going to ultimately be the starting defensive end. And you can do a hell of a lot worse too. You know, he's not terrible. He'll set a physical edge. He'll be a presence in the run game. And when it's time to get pressure on the quarterback, they'll yank his ass off the field. Right? I see Cleveland Farrell. And if you named Cleveland Farrell as the other starting defensive end, you are correct. He is going to be the starting defensive end on the other side. So the D-line is complete defensively in terms of the starters. Outside backer. Who is your outside backer? Who is your outside backer? Yeah. Some of y'all tripping. Davis. Davis who? It's Frankie Louvu. Davis who? It's Frankie Louvu. Davis who? It's Frankie Louvu. What y'all talking about? Middle backer. Middle backer. Middle backer. Bobby. B-Wags. Let's go ahead and remove that first white cover, and we can cover that up here with the backup. This B-Wags is going to be your starting middle backer. All right, this is where shit gets a little rocky, okay? Or at least it was. We still got some question marks, but I feel a lot better about this now than I did the last time we did this. So, who's your nickel corner? Who's your nickel? Okay? Who's your starting nickel corner? Who is your starting nickel corner? Yeah. Mikey, baby. I feel so much better about that position now. Because I thought they was really about to trot Quan Martin out there. I was like, oh. This shit finna be really, really interesting. Like some really spooky shit could take place. I don't have to worry about that now. All right. So Forbes, we're gonna pencil Forbes in and leave him right where he is one boundary corner. Who's opposite of Emmanuel Forbes Jr.? Who's opposite of him starting? I see some juices out there. I see some juices. But I see way more Davises, which is the right answer. All right. Is when it's all said and done, I think Michael Davis is going to be your starting number 2 corner. So let's go ahead and move this and cover up John Ridgeway, right? So we got some decisions to make on this D line now. We got some decisions to make. Decisions. So now we got our corner. Safety, strong safety. Who's our starting strong safety? Who's our starting strong safety? Who is our starting strong safety? Jeremy Chin. You guys are all over it. You guys are all over it. Jeremy Chin, starting strong safety. Chinny Chin Chin, says Red Wing 01. Chinny Chin Chin. All right. Who is our starting free? This is an interesting question, guys. Straight up, real talk, real spit. Who's our starting free safety? Now that Quan Martin is no longer tasked with being the nickel corner, which your free safety can also drop over the slot. But now that Quan Martin is no longer tasked with being your nickel corner, we actually have a true nickel. Who's starting that free safety? Is it Defoe? Is it Quan Martin? This is a real question. I'm actually curious to see what you guys think here. I'm going to go through this. Oh, man, this one's going to be tough. This is going to be tough. All right. No problem, Herb. There's only 2 linebacker slots. You good, man. Wow. All right. Defoe, Quan, Forrest, Defoe, Forrest, Defoe, Martin, Forrest, Quan, Defoe, Quan, Forrest, Defoe, Quan, Defoe, Quan again, Forrest until next year, Defoe, Quan. Yeah, we already did offense, E. We're going back there, though, because we're going to trim off some fat. But, yeah, we already did the offense. Mega, get out of here. Hey, Mods, get Mega out of here, man. Get him out of here. Talk about Percival Butler. Get him out of here. Now I'm playing. Quan, Forrest. Whoo, boy, this is as close as it gets, man. Whew. So let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So Defoe, okay, so I know it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm gonna make a case for both of them, and ultimately we're gonna have to make a decision here. I don't really know what the hell to do, and clearly in the comment section, we're split. We're split. This is as close as we've gotten so far. And in any debate, we've had some close ones already. This one is the closest that we've had. So on one hand, you got to go back to 2022, but just put yourself in this frame of mind of how you felt about Defoe leaving that 2022 season, heading into 2023. Just think about where you were with him then, okay? How well he played in 2022. There are games that we don't win. That Jacksonville game in week 1 in particular jumps out and sticks out like a sore thumb that we don't win. That Eagles game, where he has the interception. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was him. It might have been Kendall Fuller who forced the fumble of Quez Watkins from behind. And I think it was Defoe who picked it up. But he was Johnny on the spot that year. Led the team in interceptions. Had the forced fumble against Jacksonville in week 1 that forced the missed field goal. Had the interception against the Texans. Had the interception on that Monday night big win against the Eagles. He was flying around the football field. And we left that season thinking, hey, we got us one. We stole a 5th-round pick. Now, last year, he had started the season off slow. Before the injury, he wasn't playing up to the 2022 standard. But nobody was. But he wasn't. Quan started out slow, as you would expect a rookie to do. But as the season wore on, you could see him gaining confidence. Had the big game-clinching interception against the Patriots. Had another interception, I think, late in the season against Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, the final game of the season. Started off that Dolphins game really well until Ron had the genius idea of putting him on the slot one-on-one against Tyreek Hill. Poor Quan Martin. Poor Quan Martin. Lord have mercy. Bless his heart. That man, Tyreek Hill took 3 steps and put his hand up. He put his hand up. That man took 3 steps in the slot and put his hand up. Anyway, Quan was playing with much better confidence. Defoe is the faster player. I think Quan is the more instinctual player. Both can get to anywhere on the field that they need to get to. And while, if I'm not mistaken, Defoe is like a 4.3, 940 guy. Quan is like a 4.4, 5 or 4.46 guy or something like that. But when you anticipate the way that he does, that's going to up your speed. So he's right in that same neighborhood as Defoe in terms of where he can get to on the field. But damn, this is tough. All right, y'all do it again. This time, we're going to make a decision. Do it again. Who's our starting free safety? Just type the name in. I think Defoe got the edge barely, bro. Damn, that was tight. It's Defoe. Defoe edged him, but it's close, man. Wow. I see a lot of y'all saying do a poll, but the problem is everybody not gonna go vote in the poll, right? That's the problem. Is I get 50 people to vote on the poll. It's 525 of y'all out there, and only 50 people are gonna actually go vote for the poll question. So you're still not gonna get a fair. We still not gonna get a fair shake. I mean, that could be the deciding factor, but it's the same people that's voting in the comment section that's gonna go over there and vote, right? It's Defoe, man. It's Defoe. It's Defoe. All right, we're gonna put Defoe in there. All right. Derek Force. And we'll move that last white cover and we'll put that one over F.A. Obata backing up Jonathan Allen. So this is what the starting defense looks like. All right. He said people are saying default multiple times. Do I need to bring my voter ID card? It's stolen election. Oh man, y'all are silly, man. Dorrance Armstrong at defense and Cleveland Farrell at defensive end, right? Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen at defensive tackle. Frankie Louvu as your outside backer. Bobby Wagner as your middle linebacker. Mike Sainristil as your nickel corner. Your two boundaries are Michael Davis and Emmanuel Forbes Jr. Still a massive question mark. That, to me, that is the only place that I am not truly one. I told you I think Michael Davis is going to be I think he's going to be what Ronald Darby was for us in 2020. I truly believe that with every fiber of my being. And if I'm right, he won't be a problem. He'll be one of the better corners on the team if I'm right about him. I still worry about Forbes. Here's what makes me feel good about Forbes. He's actually going to be coached well this year. And if he's any good, he'll be so much better because of the defensive coordinator is a D-backs coach. So if Forbes takes to hard coaching, and they all to a man said we liked Forbes coming out because they like guys that take it away, and Forbes can take it away, then I feel good about Forbes bouncing back this year. So while I got questions about the secondary, the corners in particular, I don't have any questions about any other portion of the defense other than defensive end. And we're going to play around with these rotations so much so that who starts isn't really going to make that much of a difference because they're going to be cycling guys in. Dante Fowler Jr. is going to be getting snaps. As we know, Johnny Newton is going to be getting snaps. They're going to be cycling guys in and out of here. So I'm not even tripping about the D-line. And then you finish up with Jeremy Chin, who's going to be down around the box, just being a menace. Just being a menace down around the line of scrimmage. And Derek Force manning up the back end. Could be Quan Martin. Either way, I feel good about either one of those dudes. Like, this ain't like where you picking between two players that are mid, where you go, I mean, does it really matter? That's not how I feel about them. I think both of them have a chance to be really good. So, let's go ahead and let's start tackling these backup positions because our backups are really interesting on defense. I think defensively we'll have some depth here to play around with. So who's your first backup defensive end? So I see a lot of Fowler Juniors. So we're going to go ahead and insert him and remove that first white cover. And we'll put it over KJ Henry for now. All right. So Dante Fowler Jr. is backing up Dorrance Armstrong. Who's backing up Deron Payne? This is a no-brainer. This shouldn't require any thought. None whatsoever. Yeah, it's Johnny. Here's Johnny. So let's get Mr. Newton in here. And we'll remove this white cover. And we'll put that over Christian Holmes. All right. So we got our two backups locked in for now. How about who's backing up Jonathan Allen? Now, this is where shit gets interesting. Because if they only keeping 4 defensive tackles, now you got a decision to make. You keeping John Ridgeway or you keeping Fedarian Mathis? Y'all talk to me. Which one you keeping? You keeping John Ridgeway or you keeping Fedarian Mathis? First of all, I don't even know if that's a real question for some of y'all, because some of y'all, the hate for the hate for Fedarian Mathis is real for a lot of y'all. So I don't even know if that's a real question or not. And some of y'all just can't stand that man. But I will say, Ridgeway has he's played well when given opportunities, but I think y'all dismissing Big Phil and what he can be. I think y'all really just truly don't like this man because he hasn't done jack diddly poo squat as a second round pick. And I think y'all really holding that against him. I really truly do believe that to be the case. But let's go to the comment section and see what y'all say. All right. Let's start it about right here. Ridgeway, Mathis. No, he says he think he gonna get cut. Ridgeway, Mathis, Ridgeway, Mathis. Ridgeway, we tied. Mathis goes up 1. Vanilla Gorilla tied again. Ridgeway goes up 1. Ridgeway goes up 2. Mathis cuts it to 1. Ridgeway goes back up 2, 3, 4. Mathis cuts it to 3. Ridgeway again. Phil cuts it to 3, cuts it to 2. Back up to 3. Back up to 4. Yeah, y'all going with Mathis. Ridgeway, excuse me. Y'all going with Ridgeway. I think it's gonna be Mathis personally, but I'm letting y'all decide this. So John Ridgeway the third it is. Let's do it. He is now penciled in as our backup defensive tackle. We will remove this white cover, and we will place it over Tariq Castro Fields. All right. I knew that was going to be tight. But these are the kind of decisions that this staff is going to have to make. And they might decide to keep all 5 of them, right? And decide to trim fat off somewhere else. But the likelihood is they keep 4 defensive tackles. And one of those dudes either goes to the practice squad, or if you cut one of those 2 dudes, they're probably going to end up on another team's roster. Let's be honest with each other. Mathis was a former 2nd-round pick that played at Alabama. And John Ridgway has some solid tape. If you're looking for a guy to stop the run, he can do that for you consistently. So, if you cut one of those dudes, you're not getting them back. Just understand that. Backup defensive end behind Cleveland Farrell. Backup defensive end. Miss P says, bye, Phil. You gonna do it like that, Miss P? Oh, man. A lot of KJs. A lot more KJs than I thought. What did KJ do last year that makes y'all think he's any good? I just got a question for some of y'all. What did you see from KJ Henry that makes you think that he can play consistently at this level? I'm just asking. Because I see y'all saying that he made some splash plays against the run. Well, FA can do that against the run and the pass. I've seen FA do both. I mean, if I'm choosing between Andre Jones Jr. and KJ, I'm taking KJ. But I don't know. I saw a lot of FAs. I saw a lot of KJs, but I think I saw more KJs than FA. This is what y'all got to understand, though. And this is what I think a lot of y'all aren't taking into consideration. Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. love versatility. Dallas, they would put 4 dudes on the defensive line with nobody being over 280 pounds, right? On obvious passing situations, they would put Dorrance Armstrong, who's probably like 267, 270. They would put him at the 3-tech as a defensive tackle. Like, that's the kind of versatility. KJ Henry can't kick inside. Just in case they decide that they want to try to hit you with because teams do this sometimes when they think, oh, okay, you're going to try to disrespect us with all these light bodies. We're gonna hit you with this draw on 3rd and 8. See how you like them apples. You can kick FA inside on 3rd and 8, and he'll be just fine. He'll be just fine. And exactly, Tommy T. That's what happened. Green Bay ran all over them because they were too light up front. Y'all said KJ. Y'all know Dan Quinn has a soft spot for FA. But I know KJ got robbed of 1 sack. Did he get robbed of another sack? I don't remember but one, and that was the New England game, and that was clearly a sack. That was really disappointing. This is a Booker said, Louie, do the right thing. This ain't no democracy. This is a democracy. This is why I'm asking y'all. This is a democracy right now. Kevin the PR said 3rd and 8. Draw? Yeah, they do that in the NFL. I've seen teams do that on third down. They catch you sleeping and then get 12 on that shit too. I see people changing FA to FA. We're gonna go with FA. We're gonna go with FA. I think that's going. I think ultimately, if he's healthy, if he's back fully healthy from the broken foot that he had last year, I think he's ultimately gonna be the guy at that position. So let's remove that cover from FA. I think he'll be your backup defensive end. And if you want KJ still on the roster, guess what? We can make him the third string defensive end. He can still be on the roster. All right, backup outside backer. Who's that? Who's the backup outside backer? Backup outside backer. Is Jayden Davis. Y'all got it. Y'all all over it. It's Jayden Davis. Y'all got it. Backup middle linebacker. Backup middle backer. This is the one that's going to get your ass right here. Who's the backup middle backer? James Magruder says Temple Kid. Drew Fletcher says Pittman. Facade says McGee. George says McGee. So y'all going with the rookie. Herb Fontaine says McGee. Red Wing says McGee. So this is going to F y'all up. This is the one I forgot about right here. This is the one I forgot about. We signed so many dudes. Michael Walker got signed here, guys. Michael Walker is your backup middle linebacker, and he's pretty goddamn good, okay? That's the one that's going to F y'all up because everybody's thinking, oh, they drafted the rookie. He's your backup, Mike. No, he's not. Michael Walker is your backup, Mike. I forgot all about his ass. I was perusing the roster, and I said, oh, shit, I forgot we signed Michael Walker. And I was excited. Remember, we signed him and I think Olamide Zaccheaus at the same time. It was him and somebody else. And I was like, yo, forget about the other dude. The other dude might make the team, but Michael Walker is definitely making his football team. I forgot about him. So Michael Walker is your backup, Mike. And he played under Dan Quinn before, so Dan knows him. Is comfortable. He's only 26 years old. It ain't like he some 30-year-old stiff that we putting out here like we did in past years, with your boy. Shit. That's what we was doing the entire Rivera regime, right? At first, it was John Boom Bostic as the Mike, and then it was what's your boy name last year? The last 2 years, actually. I don't know who the hell I'm talking about. What's the white dude name, man? Mayo. Thank you. David Mayo. Big helping, heaping glob of mayo. We ain't got to worry about that no more. We got so much depth at backer now. We went from, damn, we ain't seen a quality group of backers in about 9-10 years to, hey, we got these joints coming out of the yin-yang now, right? This feels good, man. I like this little core group of 4 right here. This feels real good. Knowing that if something happens, I got another dude. Now, I don't want to see nothing happen to none of the starters, but it feels good to know we got stuff. We got stuff on top of stuff. All right. Who's your backup nickel? I think we should just leave Quan there. What you think? I think we should leave Quan there as your backup nickel. What y'all think about that? I think he's right where he's supposed to be. And y'all agree. So we just going to leave him right there. All right. Who is your backup CB2? Who's your backup CB2? This is where the shit gets shitty quick. This is where shit gets shitty real quick. Yeah, so we can go with the Juice Man first, right? We can go with the Juice Man, but after that, shit gets shitty fast. All right, who's backing up? As a matter of fact, let's take Juice and make him the backup to our number one corner, because I'm not comfortable with him. If something goes down, he would be the first dude stepping in for Forbes if something happened to him. Really, he'd be the first dude stepping in for either one of these dudes, no matter who get hurt. But I'm gonna put him behind CB1 instead of CB2. I'm more comfortable with that. So now let me put the blank back. Let me put the cover back. Who's CB, the backup for CB2? Who's the backup for CB2? Oy vey. This is where I told you this is where the shit gets shitty, man. I don't know what the hell to do here. This is when shit gets shitty really fast. All right. So, bless it. So, I see some of y'all advocating for the undrafted rookie Chigozie Anuzium being the answer here. I mean, don't forget, and I told y'all this earlier, and I meant this when I said it. Don't discount guys that they signed here. Like, they signed some special teams dudes, but I don't know if I necessarily disagree with y'all, man. It might be one of these undrafted dudes. Like, they made it a point of emphasis, and I told y'all when this happened, I said, hey, look out for, at the time I didn't know what the count was on these undrafted dudes, but I said, look out for these undrafted dudes, because at corner, I expect that position to have the most guys. And sure enough, they brought in more secondary players than any other position group. Did you see how much money they paid Chigozie Anuzium? They paid him the most money of any of their undrafted guys, and they paid him the highest bonus, I think, of anybody in the league. The word out on the street was at least half of the NFL tried to get Chigozie Anuzium, and which is why we had to pay him the amount of money from a bonus standpoint that we ultimately paid him to get him here. So I'm not telling you that means he's a lock. I'm just telling you it meant that they really, really valued him at a position that we desperately need help. So I'll slide him in. But, don't forget that they did sign James Pierre and they did sign Noah Igbenogany. Like, don't discount those dudes as if they don't exist, because they do. But this is the shit I'm talking about. Like, you got decisions to make here. And ultimately, it'll play itself out on the field. It'll play itself out on the field. If Chiggy can play, it'll reveal itself. Remember a couple of years ago, the dude that tore his ACL on that Hail Mary at the end of the Falcons game that came out of nowhere in camp, and we were all like, yo, this dude can play. Y'all remember him? I don't remember his damn name, but y'all do in the comment section. But I remember all camp, we kept seeing this dude flash. Like, damn, he made another play. Damn, he made another play. Then you get into the game in the preseason. Damn, he made another play. Damn, he made another play. And then next thing you know, he was on the damn roster. So I'm just telling you, it'll reveal itself come camp into the preseason. If we hear Torrey McTyer, that was his name. Thank you, Red Wings. Torrey McTyer showed up and just kept making plays until we said, bro, this man's got to be on the roster. If he can play, we'll hear it in these OTAs like, yo, this dude looks like he belongs. And you're not going to find nothing out in OTAs. But if you hear something, like if you hear nothing, that's not a big deal. It's OTAs. When we get to camp, we should be hearing, hey, this Chigozie Anuzium kid, you should be hearing his name. And that would lead you to believe, hey, maybe he could do, because we kept hearing Torrey McTyer's name in training camp. Like, yo, this Torrey McTyer kid keeps making plays. And then we saw it in the preseason. We're like, yo, this Torrey McTyer dude's making plays. So I'm gonna put Chigozie Anuzium. You guys asked for it. I'm gonna do it. And I'm not gonna discount him because we hurting, man. We hurting that corner. That's the one position that we hurting at. We hurting that corner, man. It's not great. I told you, you can't fix everything in one off season, and you can't fix corner in one off season. Like, we fixed a lot of shit defensively. A lot of shit we fixed. We hadn't fixed linebacker in almost a decade. They fixed it, right? They made a point of emphasis to fix it. They made the defensive line. They remade, literally. We did not have a single starting caliber defensive end. They remade the entire defensive line other than Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, or just the defensive tackle position. 4 defensive ends they signed. So they did the best they could. They added a safety as well. They added a corner. 2, if you count Mike Sanders still in the draft. But you can only do so much. We got to pray Emmanuel Forbes is good. We got to pray that Mike Sanders still is going to do what Mikey Sanders still does. I ain't tripping. We got to pray that Emmanuel Forbes is good and Michael Davis is the type of one-year rental that Ronald Darby would be proud of. We gotta hope that's the case. It'd be nice if one of these undrafted dudes stepped up, but hey, it could just be Juice really taking well to coaching with this group and being put in better positions to succeed. And then one of these other, guys they signed is solid. You hope you never have to see those dudes, because what we really talking about right now is the 5th and 6th corner. If we get that, that's what we talking about, because Forbes, Davis, and Sandwich Drill are your first 3 corners, and then Juice is the first one off the bench. So, and Quan Martin is a nickel if something happens or they got to go, with another nickel. So what we talking about essentially is a dude that should never see the field in that 5th corner is what we talking about. We should never see whomever this is. And if you ask me, it's going to be one of these dudes they signed, because that dude is going to be a special teams thing. And Chigozie Anuzium ain't a special teams thing. That's going to be James Pierre, or it's probably going to be Noah Igbenogany. I'm going to just keep it up. I'm going to keep it all the way funky with you. It's probably going to be Noah Igbenogany. That's my guess. Because he's got experience with the Dallas crew. But I digress. Y'all said Chigozie Anusium. We're going to go with him. We're going to go with him. I think it's going to ultimately, and don't worry, we can add some third guys in here. No sweat. Strong safety. Who's the backup strong safety? Who's the backup strong safety? Who's the backup strong safety? Oh, y'all tripping in the comment section. Y'all tripping. The disrespect is real for an OG. Damn. I didn't think it was like that. But the disrespect is definitely real for an OG. Hey, they don't love you like they used to, All Pro Revo. They don't love you like they used to, man. Damn. What happened to Jeremy Reeves as the backup, man? Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Dominique Hampton is making his football team. Just about every single one of their draft picks, except for the 7th rounder. Okay, Javante, John Baptiste. All the other 8 dudes are making his team. Don't bullshit yourself. All 8 of those dudes are making his roster. They didn't draft those guys to cut the guys that they drafted to keep some guys from the Rivera era. You must have bumped your damn head. The only one that ain't making his team, because they're so deep right now, and nobody's fighting them over Javante, John Baptiste. They know they can cut him and keep him on the practice squad. You cut Dominique Hampton, somebody's going to scoop his ass up. They're not cutting any of those dudes they drafted. They are rebuilding this roster with their draft picks. So don't for one second think, oh, they cutting the linebacker from Temple. No, Jordan McGee is going to be on this roster. Oh, they're going to cut. No, trust me, Dominique Hampton's going to be on this roster. Don't fool yourself. They're keeping all 8 of those dudes. The only one that's not making his team, I repeat, all 8 of their first selections will be on this roster. This is not this group from last year where they got to put their 4th round pick on IR with a phantom injuries so that they don't have to cut them. That's not what this group is doing. So best believe these boys are making the squad. Just so you know, just so we're clear. But Reeves is your backup strong safety. Or you could make him your backup free safety, but he's your backup strong safety. Doesn't matter where you slot him. He's one of your backup safeties. But Jeremy Reeves, generally when he comes in the game, he plays a little bit further back, but he's your backup strong safety. So we're going to keep Quan at backup free safety. I think that's the responsible thing to do. And let's see. We can go 1/3 string defensive end because you're only keeping 5. At the maximum, you're keeping 5 defensive ends. Hard for me to believe you keeping 5 ends and 5 tackles, though. You either keeping one or the other. The number we're gonna find out what the magic number is. Let's just keep 1 extra end and 1 extra tackle for now. Who's your extra defensive end? We kind of already settled this, but I just want y'all to say it anyway. So who's the extra defensive end? Okay. Yeah. KJ. That's cool. We just need 1, and KJ is the 1. Okay. Who's your extra defensive tackle? That, again, slam dunk, easy. I just want y'all to say it, and then we can go back and trim off fat if we need to. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Yep. It's Phil. It's Big Phil. We're going to move him right here. right? Slide KJ over just a tad bit. The match for Darian is. All right, that's good right there. All right. So we got a couple backups on the D-line. Backup linebackers, I don't think. So now the question becomes, you got two linebackers vying for one spot, but to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to just throw it out there, but I already told y'all what it is. But we did sign Anthony Pittman, right, from Detroit in free agency, core special teamer, yada, yada, yada. He, I think, was here in the event that they didn't get a linebacker in the draft. They got Jordan Megiddo. I can't see Anthony Pittman making his roster over a fifth-round draft pick. Not happening. If all things are equal and everybody's healthy, Jordan McGee is on this football team. So he'll be your last, because I don't see them keeping more than 5 linebackers, right? If they keep a 6th, then that's when an Anthony Pittman comes into the equation, right? Or one of these other dudes that we're not thinking about. Because they brought in a couple of linebackers, like soon as the season was over, as soon as DQ and company got here, they brought in a couple of dudes. One of them was from Cincinnati. But this looks like the core group right here. These 5 right here. Looks like the core group. Corner. We got to add in Noah Igbenogany. I don't think that Noah Igbenogany is going to be left off this roster. And honestly, I think it's between him and like Chigozie Anuzium is not a lot. It could end up being Igbenogany and James Pierre still. Like, again, this dude is still an undrafted player, and you could probably get Chigozie Anuzium onto your practice squad. I don't see him making this football team, but we'll see. Well, again, I told you, it'll play itself out. We could play the guessing game now. That's fun, but ultimately the play on the field is going to determine whether this dude is capable of getting it done at the NFL level. And we'll know. We'll see it. Our eyes don't deceive us. We'll know. But we'll leave. I'm gonna leave it. This is what y'all decided. So we're gonna leave it there, right? So, and safety, Dominic Hampton is definitely on this roster. So let's go ahead and add him in here too. Right? Let's go ahead and add Dominic Hampton in. We'll add him as the extra safety here. So I think that completes the defensive side. So let's count up the defenders now. Let's count up the defenders. I told y'all Jonathan Owens, not Jonathan. I told y'all Tyler Owens is not ready for NFL action. So y'all can stop bringing him up. He's a guy that you put on the practice squad and you try to develop, and you hope that in a year or two he's ready to help you with his skill set. He's not ready to help an NFL football team. Not even on special teams he's ready to help you yet. Right? That'll be a next year thing when maybe Jeremy Reeves is no longer here next year. Maybe Benjamin St. Juste is no longer here next year. Derek Forrest is no longer here next year. Then maybe a guy like Tyler Owens rises from the practice squad. But you could quit calling his name. Trust me, he's not going to be ready to help an NFL team this year. So let's count it up and see what the number is. So we currently have 29 on offense, which we know that shit ain't gonna fly. Let's count it up. So Dorrance Armstrong is 1. Deron Payne is 2. Jonathan Allen is 3. Cleveland Farrell is 4. Frankie Louvu is 5. Bobby Wagner is 6. Mike Sandwich-Strill is 7. Michael Davis is 8. Forbes is 9. Chin is 10. Derek Forrest is 11. Dante Fowler Jr. is 12. Johnny Newton is 13. Ridgeway is 14. FA is 15. Jamin Davis is 16. Michael Walker is 17. Quan Martin is 18. Chigozie Anuzium is 19. Juice is 20. Reeves is 21. Mathis is 22. Henry is 23. McGee is 24. Noah Igbenogany is 25. And Dominique Hampton is 26. That's actually not bad. 26 is not a bad number. But you still got 3 on special teams, clearly. And you can only keep 53. So you would only be allowed 24 on offense if you keep 26 defenders. They're not keeping 20. I don't think they're keeping 26 defenders, because then that would only leave you with 24 offensive players. And the number right now is at 29. So we can get rid of one player off this group. One player, and it'll get you to 25. And I think that's reasonable. Then it could be a 25-25 split. So who do y'all vote out? We playing Survivor right now. Sporty-o-de-ah. 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 Oh-eh-oh-eh-oh-eh-ah. All right, who y'all voting off the island? On offense, on defense. Somebody's got to go. Somebody's gotta go. Boy, I'm seeing Mathis and KJ. A lot of Mathis and a lot of KJ. I'm shocked, because I would have just gotten rid of Chigozie Anuzium's ass. And this isn't hard. That he would have been the guy. But I think I seen more Fedarian Mathis's. Y'all really don't like Big Phil, man. Yikes. Y'all really don't like Big Phil. I'm shocked. Okay. Big Phil, he's not getting cut, but y'all cut him. Okay. I'm just doing what y'all told me to do. He is not getting cut, though. That gets us to 25. Okay. That gets us to 25. So I think I'm comfortable, not 100%, but I'm comfortable with what we did here. Okay. I'm comfortable with what we did here. But I would have just made one change, maybe 2. Because I think you could probably get rid of KJ Henry too, personally. And I would have kept Fedarian Mathis, and I would have got rid of Chigozie Anuzium and slid Noah Igbenogany into his slot. And at that point, you got 5 corners, which is what I think they're going to do. They got 5 safeties, which is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 safeties and 5 corners, which is what I think they're going to do. And I think you're going to go. So let's break the numbers down, because that's normally how they do this, right? They break it down as numbers in the position group. So normally the number is 10 in the secondary, whether it's 6 corners and 4 safeties or 5 corners and 5 safeties. It's usually 10, and it's 10 DBs. We got 5 corners right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got 5 safeties. All right. So we good there. We got wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 corners. This is why I would have cut Chigozie Anuzium, because now we got 11 corners, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 11 DBs now. So this is why I would have cut Anuzium, and I would have kept Fedarian Mathis. But so we got 11 DBs. We got 5 backers. I think that's perfect. I think that's exactly what it's going to look like. I think that's the number. It's 5, and I think these are the 5 guys. Okay. So I think you guys did a tremendous job there. D-line, this is going to be interesting. because without question, we know Armstrong, Payne, Allen, Farrell, Fowler, and Newton are on this football team. Those 6 guys, no questions asked, they're on the team. The question then becomes, is it 8, 4 D tackles, 4 D ends, or is it 9? I don't think the number is 10. I don't think they're keeping both KJ Henry and John Ridgeway or Fedarian Mathis. It's or, right? One of them, I think if you're looking at it's defensive tackle is where the talent lies, and you want to keep more of them and less ends because that's not where the talent is, right? KJ Henry is a dime a dozen defensive end in this league. You can find KJ Henrys anywhere. Hell, we might have found one as an undrafted guy this year, or a 7th round pick guy this year, and Javonte John Baptiste. But again, y'all kept KJ. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the count, which is what I think is going to be. I just think it's not KJ, it's Fedarian Mathis. But it doesn't matter. The count just needs to be right for the sake of this exercise, and it is. It's 9, so that's fine. 5, 9, that's 14. This is where the count gets messed up because it's 11 DBs, and I think it should be 10, and that'll give us 24 defenders, and then you can have 26 offensive players, which is what I think, and then you just got to cut 3 dudes on offense, and I think it'll be pretty easy to get rid of 3 dudes. It's gonna be hard to get rid of 4 dudes on offense. So if you get rid of Chigozie and Newsium, I think it'll get you where you need to be. Okay, so that Knicks and Sixers game ended up getting tight, but it looks so I was right about Milwaukee. The Pacers took care of business. I thought they would. Because the if no Giannis, they don't play enough defense, right? And I don't know whose ball it is right now, but it's a 3-point game with 24 seconds left on the shot clock. If it's Knicks ball, you got to foul. So all they got to do is make free throws. But with the way this series has gone down the stretch with blown leads, who the hell knows what's going to happen? But that game's coming down to the wire. Oh, shit. 114, 113. Do I need to turn this shit on right now? I think I need to turn this damn game on right now. That's what I think I need to do. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right. So my MusicHead University video finally uploaded. So when this is done, I'm going to upload it. It's done now. I just got to upload it to it's finally finished. They just jerked me. That's all. They jerked the snot out of me. Treated me like a small channel, which I am. I just haven't had that treatment in a very long time. I forgot how hard it used to be to upload long videos. Let me get on this game though. Let me stop bullshitting and get on this game though. YouTube TV. Because they out here trying to do some things. All right. 11.1. DiVincenzo going to the strike. I'm assuming to shoot 2. Embiid pacing back and forth. That knee is killing him, bro. Gotta be killing him. For his sake, this series probably need to be over now anyway. He talking shit in his ear. Buddy Hield talking to him, trying to get him to miss. DiVincenzo, that's one cold-blooded white boy. National champion at Villanova. He gonna knock these free throws down. That shit ain't phase him at all, bro. That's one of them white dudes you can't. He been playing with brothers his entire life. You can tell. That's a confident white swag that you can't break. You can talk that shit all you want to. He gonna knock both these free throws down. And he played at Golden State, so he know what championship ball look like. Did that shit with ease. Now you need a 3. I might foul if I'm them. That's what they did too. Oh yeah, don't let Maxey do that shit he did to y'all last time. Just keep making your free throws. That's what they're gonna do. Foul. You might have to mess around and miss one, make one, miss one at some point. I wouldn't do that yet though. There's still enough time where you can make both free throws, try and trap, get a steal, and then try to foul a bad free throw shooter and see if you can get a miss. You still got enough time to do that. You don't need to miss one, make one yet. Damn, Maxey had a rough game. You knew he was going to do that, though. All right, he made the first one. Just don't let Brunson get the ball on the inbounds. That's the only person. I'd let anybody else shoot the free throws. Just don't let it be Brunson. And they let Brunson get that bitch. You got to foul him. You can't sit there and try to trap now. It's too late. That was too damn easy, bro. Nick Nurse probably mad too because he one of them master strategist coaches. I know he told Batum over there and told him, don't let him catch the damn ball. Like, that was too easy. They just set a little screen and that was way too easy. That's the one dude I ain't want catching the damn ball to shoot these free throws. What is he from the stripe tonight? I would have sent DiVincenzo back there. He about to knock both these shits down. I wouldn't have let Brunson ass catch that ball. I'd have denied the shit out of his ass. They just gonna foul. If he make both of these, they just gonna foul again. Yeah, they just gonna foul again. You're not getting off a shot. Oh, they didn't foul. Now you can actually get a shot off. The Knicks probably should have just fouled. They was tripping. Because now on this inbound, now that it's at half court, I'm running a play to where I can get somebody going towards the three-point line and raise up. Like, if you want to foul me, now I'm getting a shot off. Do not inbound this thing in the backcourt. Whatever you do. Yeah. Yeah, nah, they lost now. Knicks move on. Good win for the Knicks. They did not want this shit to have to go back to New York at all. That's a gutty performance on the road. Did Joel foul out? I mean, he won't gonna really help you down the stretch. No damn way. With his knee being what it was. All right. I digress. All right. So let's get back to what we was doing. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. So for the sake of this argument, we're going to take out Chigozie Anusium. And we're going to slide Noah Igbenogany into this slot here. And that's going to give us our 24. This I would personally remove KJ, but this is 24 guys on defense. This is what you need. We're going to go back to the offense here in a second, but we're going to go ahead and just clean up special teams real quick. And then we'll go back to the offense. So you guys did a hell of a job on defense. This looks pretty much what I think it's going to look like, minus give or take one or two guys. But yeah, you got the essence of the numbers breakdown. You got the essence of what I think it ultimately is going to be. I think this is going to be a good defense. I'm excited about the depth. I'm excited about the starters. Yeah, we could have some better frontline defensive line starters on the edges, especially Cleveland Farrell. And yes, corner could use a little bit of love, but we could be singing a whole different tune about the corners after this year. Forbes could step up. Sandwich still could be exactly what we thought he was going to be. And, you know, Juice could end up having a breakout year. I doubt that. I'm not even going. And he's on the last year of his contract, so it wouldn't really benefit us anyway, but still. You just never know. We could feel a lot better. If Forbes and Sandwich still are good, you're going to feel a lot better about that position. All you would then need is one corner, right? Instead of needing 2 or 3 of them janks. So let's get to the special teams, Deppy. And, I mean, this one, pretty self-explanatory. The only real question we have, and the kickoff rules change things. The kickoff rules change things, right? So, this one is pretty easy though. I don't even need to ask y'all. We know who the place kicker is, Brandon McManus. We know who the long snapper is. It's Tyler Ott. Who the hell is the kickoff return man, and who is the punt return man? Crowder was the punt returner last year. I think they like Crowder in that role, which is why I think Crowder's going to be on this roster. And the question is, who's returning kicks for you? Who's returning kicks? You're going to have to find a kick return man. We're going to have to find a kick return man. Because I don't know who they would have on the roster to do that. And it's to the point now where you used to be able to say it don't really matter because we just going to get touchbacks and get it out to the 25. You can't assume that that's going to be the case anymore with these new rules. So because of that, I think this first year teams are going to approach the kickoff as it's the same old shit. Like until these rules play themselves out and it proves to be a true difference maker, teams are going to treat it like, hey, we'll wait and see. Right? We're not devoting a actual roster spot to this. I think the teams that are smart and that are proactive will dedicate a roster spot to a guy that can return kicks. So whether you're a corner and you have kickoff return ability, or you're a receiver and you did it in college, or you've done it in the NFL, like you should be dedicating like attention to it. I don't think we are. Unless Casimir Allen is here, I don't think we're, and there's no more, like we had a fallback plan. Like we, in past years, Antonio Gibson can do it, right? We always had a fallback. He's not here anymore. So you can't even say, well, he did it in college. Can't even do that anymore. None of the running backs that we have kickoff return experience, nor are they good at it. You can't just put anybody back there. None of the receivers that I can think of have experience. I don't even think any of the corners do. So I don't know what the hell they're going to do here. And as we just went through the rosters, it's going to be tough for you to just designate a roster spot to a guy like Kaz Allen. You would have to then cut a guy like Olamide Zaccheaus. I wonder if Olamide Zaccheaus did that in college or at any point of his career, return kickoffs. Because if you keep him, now he's got a role that makes it more likely that he is on the roster, and it gives you more reason to want to keep him around. Or else he's expendable. Because him and Jamison Crowder, to me, are the same player. One's a little bit older than the other, but they're the same player. So I don't really need 2 of you. Crowder serves another purpose. So can anybody return kickoffs is the question. I know. I guess they might just double off Jamison Crowder. Somebody in the comment section said, you know, Mike Sanders still might be able to do it. I don't know what his background was when he was a receiver, as far as returning kicks. Maybe he did that, and I can check right now. I don't have to guess. I can check his background and see if he has any special teams returns in his past. I'm gonna look it up right now. Let's see, Mike Sanders still. He had one return in his freshman year for punts. He had one return in his sophomore year. Okay. He got 2 kickoff returns in his junior year. And that's it. And they weren't impressive kickoff returns. Almost felt like some onside kick or squib kick return. Those are the type numbers those were. 2 for 27. So he don't really have experience as a return man. I mean, technically speaking, he's done it before, but that's not his forte, you know, per se. So that's another. I mean, they'll figure this shit out. We're not going to bust our brain trying to figure out it. We're just going to assume Jamison Crowder is going to handle both responsibilities now. I don't like putting that on an old man. Like, give me somebody young and spry back there returning kickoffs. I don't trust just anybody on punts, so I like the old man back there on punts, even though he still scares the shit out of me. There were times last year I was like, bro, put the shit away, man. You back there dancing. Because you remember he had that one return against Atlanta, and then he thought he was goddamn Deion Sanders back there at that point. He was, you know, running backwards and juking and shit. And I'm like, yo, bro, just don't fumble this bitch. But he didn't. To his credit, he didn't fumble at all last year. But last year we had Pringle and we had Antonio Gibson that could return kickoffs. We're going to have to figure it out. We'll have to figure that out. But I digress. They'll figure that out. They'll figure it out. So let's go back to the offensive side of football real quick. And let's trim this shit down to, so we got 26 spots available. We trimmed the defense down to 24. Let's trim this down to 26. All right. So let's get everybody's name back up on the board that we had making the team. All right. So this should be 29 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, I counted some. Either I counted somebody twice or I added somebody in here that shouldn't be in here. So let's do this again. I think I counted. No, did I count Trent Scott twice? No, I didn't. I skipped over him. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26. Okay, that's what it was. We need a blank. We need a blank for Mitchell Tinsley. That's what it was. Counted him twice. There you go. Now 27, 28, 29. All right. So we got 29 now. All right. So we got to cut 3 dudes. So time to play Survivor. Time to get rid of 3 dudes and kind of figure out what's what. So we know none of the first. So let me make this abundantly clear once more. None of the draft picks are getting cut. And none of the draft picks on offense were day 3 guys anyway. So that's a given. So these 11 dudes are safe. De'Ami Brown's not getting cut. Trent Scott's not getting cut. Chris Paul, we'll see, but I don't think he's getting cut. Ricky Stromberg's not getting cut. Andrew Wiley isn't getting cut. Ben Sinnott, Jamison Crowder, he's in the conversation. I think he's too valuable because of his special teams. Tinsley is in the mix. He's on the chopping block. Mariota's going to be here. Sam Hartman easily could be cut, right? But again, I don't think he's going to be on the team. I think it's going to ultimately be Hartman on the practice squad, and it's going to be Jeff Driscoll as your third quarterback. But again, we're not worried about semantics right now. We just want to get the numbers right. That's what we're more concerned about, right? So let's play the numbers game like we did with the defense, right? So receiver is either 5 or 6. 5 or 6. Let's start with the offensive line, because that's going to determine what every other position looks like. Because usually the number is 10 on the offensive line. Okay. Normally the number is 10. You can make it 9. It's never less than 9. It's never less than 9. You can make that number 9. It could be 10. I've seen it as high as 11 before. This feels like a 10. All right. So Coleman is 1. Scott is 2. Cornelius Lucas is 3. So you got 3 tackles. Let's leave that, and we'll just leave Jayden Daniels hanging out there for now. That's 3 tackles. Allegretti, 4. Biotish, 5. Cosme, 6. Wiley, 7. Stromberg, 8. I think those 8 guys are definitely making the team without question. Okay. So let me go through those 8 again. Okay. Coleman, Scott, Allegretti, Biotish, Cosme, Lucas, Wiley, Stromberg. Those 8 guys, I think, are going to make this team. Okay. When you factor in Jayden Daniels as a 4th round pick a season ago, granted, this group did not select him, and they may not have had a 4th round grade. I did not have a 4th round grade on Jayden Daniels. They may have saw him as a 6th or 7th round pick last year, and if that's the case, then they don't mind cutting him. If they see potential in him, they saw potential in him last year, then he's more likely to remain on the roster. So of the guys that are remaining, Chris Paul, Mason Brooks, Michael Dieter, and Jayden Daniels, Daniels to me is the next guy that you have to consider keeping and make him the 9th offensive lineman. Okay. And then I think it's 3 spots for 1 if you're keeping 10. It's 3 guys for 1 spot, essentially. Excuse me. I think I misspoke. 3 guys for 1 spot. Chris Paul, Mason Brooks, and Michael Dieter. And if that's the case, right now the nod would go to Chris Paul, but Dieter is out. Michael Dieter is out. Okay. If when we're looking at sizing up young guys and, who you can sneak through, like Michael Dieter, you can get rid of him. And if somebody signs him, oh, well. You don't want to lose a young guy, though. You don't want to lose a Mason Brooks if you believe in him. You don't want to lose a Chris Paul if you believe in him. You don't want to lose a Jayden Daniels if you think that even a year or 2 down the road, he might be something. Michael Dieter has already proven what he is in the league. So you're not keeping him over a young guy. So Coleman, Scott, Daniels, 1, 2, 3. Allegretti, 4. Biotish, Stromberg, 5 and 6. Cosme and Wiley, 7 and 8. And Lucas, 9. And then I think Chris Paul is your 10th offensive lineman. Brooks is undrafted. Dieter just got here. I think you're rolling with this group right here. This group right here. So 10 offensive linemen we're keeping. Remember, the number is 24. So if you're keeping 10 offensive linemen, you're allowed 3 or 4 tight ends. You're only allowed 3 backs if you're keeping 24, because you got to trim off fat somewhere. So you're keeping 3 backs, 3 quarterbacks. So that's 6, 4 tight ends. That's 20. And that would only allow you 4 receivers. So you got to trim off some more fat because you got to keep at least 5 receivers. So you either cutting a quarterback or a tight end. That's what it amounts to. I think it ultimately, what do y'all think? 4 tight ends or 3 quarterbacks? So okay, let me ask you this, because I see Richard Walker says go 9 on the O-line. Could you trim it down to 9 on the O-line? Could you get away with 9 on the O-line, not 10? Because I think that's doable, right? You get away with 9. I mean, it gets tough who that 9th guy would be if you do it that way, because hold on, time out. I miscalculated. We had 24 on defense, right? That was the number, right? We got down to 24 on defense, right? Or did we get down to 25? Let me go back to the defense real quick. Let me go back to the defense. Wagner 1, Armstrong 2, Louie 3. So I don't have to do this. We did the numbers. The number was, it was 10 defensive backs, 5 linebackers. That's 15. And we went 9 on the defensive line. So that's 24. So we did 24 defenders. So we have 26. We have 26 offensive spots to work with. Okay, we have 26. So if you go 10 offensive linemen, you go 3 backs, 3 quarterbacks, and 4 tight ends. 3, 3, 4, that's 10, that's 20. You have 6 receivers. That's the number. That's it. So we're good. We're good. We're good. So Mason Brooks, gone. Michael Dieter, gone. That's going to get you to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So we got 10 offensive linemen. All right. 3 backs. We got the 3 backs. We got the 3 quarterbacks. You got your 4 tight ends. So that's 20, right? And now you got 6 receivers. So you got Terry and Diami, 1, 2. Jahan and Mitchell Tinsley. So now we have to cut a receiver. Okay. So okay. So here are the givens. Terry, Diami, Jahan, and Luke McCaffrey are all making this team. That's 4. Jamison Crowder is making this team because he returns punts. So you're not cutting him. So then it becomes Olamide Zaccheaus or Mitchell Tinsley. And I'm telling you right now, if they're choosing between the two, unless Mitchell Tinsley absolutely murders it in camp, Olamide Zaccheaus is their guy. He's got experience with Dan Quinn. They bought him here. They did not bring Mitchell Tinsley here. Mitchell Tinsley was undrafted last year. They don't have like any affinity. They don't have any loyalty to Mitchell Tinsley. Their loyalty lies with Olamide Zaccheaus. Now, they talk competition. And if Mitchell Tinsley comes in and plays well, then different story. But right now, I'm going to tell you what it feels like right now. Feels like Mitchell Tinsley is out of here. Olamide Zaccheaus slides down here. And again, this is just for optics purposes. We're just putting the guy. He wouldn't be your backup to Jahan Dotson at Z, but for optic purposes, we'd put him there and we cover up we cover up Crowder because he's already here. All right. Where'd this cover come from? Okay, that's that one. No? Is that a cover? What am I touching right now? What am I touching right now? I'm tripping. What am I touching right now? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's tighten that. Let's tighten up. All right, there we go. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing right now? What's going on? Somebody talk to me. All right, here we go. Let's get Olamide Zaccheaus here. All right. So now I think we got our numbers squared away. I think we're all good now. So this should be 26. Let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. So yes. Now, you know, a couple of the names could change. Amani Rogers could be swapped out for Cole Turner. Sam Hartman could be swapped out for Jeff Driscoll. Olamide Zaccheaus could be swapped out for Mitchell Tinsley. Chris Rodriguez Jr. could be swapped out for a Michael Wiley or a Jeremy McNichols. So yeah, and Chris Paul or even Andrew Wiley or somebody like that could be swapped out for Mason Brooks. But the numbers is all we really care about here. And I think this is what the breakdown is going to be. 10 offensive linemen, 6 receivers, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. You could add a 4th running back. And if you do a 4th running back, you could take away one of the offensive linemen and go to 9. Or you could take away one of the receivers and go to 5. I could see them adding a 4th running back. If you do that, then you just have to trim off fat somewhere else. And it probably more likely than not will either be the offensive line or wide receiver, right? But for this exercise, you go with 3 backs, you go with 3 quarterbacks, you go with 4 tight ends, you go with 6 receivers, you go with 10 offensive linemen. That gets you to 26. You got 24 defenders, and you got 3 special teams guys. I think that, my friends, is a fantastic depth chart. Great job. All of you, take a bow out there. You guys just did an amazing job. So, with that said, let's get to the comment section and I'll get you guys out of here. So, Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My God, Door Gunner writes, I feel okay about the roster. Expect to start slow, though. Just looking for improvement from the start of the season until the end. All we can ask for. And, you know, it's funny that you say expect to start slow. You don't know who we're playing against to start out the season. Let me look at them home games again. Not, I mean, this is assuming that we start the season out at home. Our week 1 opponent could be Carolina at the crib. I mean, I'm not telling you that they're going to be garbage this year, but they were the worst team in football last year. They did hold the number 1 overall pick, which went to Chicago. That'd be the equivalent of us getting Arizona last year. Arizona was perceived to be the worst team in football last season, and they weren't very good. They ended up with the 4th pick in the draft. They ended up with the same exact record as us. They just had a stronger strength of we just had a weaker strength of schedule. That's it. So you could get Carolina week 1. You could get the Giants week 2 at home or the Giants on the road. I don't give a shit where we're playing the Giants. We need to beat their ass twice. I'm sick of that shit. Right? You could get them, and then you could get the Titans in week 3. So you could be at home against Carolina week 1, at the Giants week 2, back home for the Titans in week 3, and you can start 3-0. I mean, I'm not circling victories on the calendar. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm just saying, you don't have to start slow, is what I'm saying. But to your point, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm just looking for improvement and looking for this team to be competitive weeks 1 through 18. Like every single week, they fought tooth and nail, and whether they won or they lost, We just saw a team that we could be proud of, and then knowing, hey, we got some dogs here, we got some dogs there. Here's where we need to improve. The biggest thing is we need to nail the quarterback this year, and a lot of the young players need to show improve. We need to have building blocks after leaving this season. I think that's the biggest thing. Is after this year, you want to be able to say, all right, here's the positions that we know we got football players at, we got dogs at. Here's what we need to improve. There needs to be a clear plan in place going into the offseason, right? Rum, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Mob, you know what to do. Show Rum some love. Welcome him with open arms. Show Rum what it feels like to be a member of the MOBB. Rum, welcome to the squad. Glad to have you on board. Swaggy Pete, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, you think we sticking with a 4-3 or switching to a 3-4 defense? Also, that Bears matchup could end up as a Sunday night or Monday night game as well. Hashtag raise hell. Oh, they're definitely sticking with a 4-3. So, but remember, it's a 4-3, but it's really a 4-2 base with a big nickel as that third linebacker, right? So Jeremy Chin would essentially, in effect, come down into the box as that third nickel, nickel defender on like first and second downs when you're looking to stop the run. And then when you're obviously looking to stop pass, you would then move Chin back, right, away a little bit further away from the line of scrimmage, or you can keep him there and insert Mike Sandwich still, right? So the look is probably going to be 2 safeties, possibly 3. They might go with a 3 safety look where you got that extra safety down in the box, and then you keep 2. So Quan Martin and Defoe might be back deep, right, away from the line of scrimmage, and Jeremy Chin acts as that third linebacker essentially. But he's undersized, so he's faster, he's quicker. You know, he can be a little bit more of a nuisance around the line of scrimmage. But that's a 3 safety look. But it's a pseudo 4-3, right, with a Buffalo nickel. So there's different packages, but the base is the best way to describe it is going to be an even front. No matter what's going on behind them, it's going to be 4 down linemen. That's all you really need to know. Dan Quinn has always instituted a 4-man, an even front, a 4-man defensive front. So that end of discussion there. Always play 4 guys on the defensive line. So, and as far as that Bears matchup, it won't be Sunday. They're not like Sunday is for premier matchups only. Bears and Commanders, not a premier matchup. Don't care who's playing quarterback for those 2 teams. They both stink. Both teams were in the top 10 in terms of draft picks a season ago. So that's either a Thursday or a Monday night game. And my guess is it's a Thursday right now. But it's been Thursday 2 years in a row, so I could see Monday. AJ STP003. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, my concern is that Giants fans are so happy to have ridden themselves of the O-line coach and that now we have him. I'm concerned about that too. If you ask me what's the one move that was made this offseason that I didn't necessarily approve of and it's sort of a head scratcher, it's O-line Bobby Johnson being here. And it's not just that we hired O-line Bobby Johnson. It was the swiftness in which he was hired. He was hired relatively early in the process. He got fired from the Giants, and it was like maybe a week or two, like maybe like 4 to 7 days later, we hired him. Like, he said yes. He said, I would have run to DC if I had to. Of course you would have, because you didn't think you were getting a job that quick. I don't think he felt like he was going to be out of ball. Somebody was going to give him work. May not have been his O-line coach. He might have been an assistant offensive line coach. Somebody would have created a position for him if he had a boy. If he had somebody around the league coaching, he would have had work. But I don't think he expected to get a job like that. So we'll see, man. I don't love it. And I'm usually very weary when a guy comes from a previous destination and everybody says the same thing, like, yo, that dude sucks. And it's not just Giants fans. Bills fans are like, yeah, you can have him. You can have his ass. I'm like, shit. I was hoping Bills fans would be like, he was pretty good with us. Nah, that ain't what they were saying. $1.6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, forgot to mention that you probably should watch X-Men 97 before letting your kids watch it. This show isn't for younger kids. Great job as always. Ain't no young kids watching that show. It's for the adults. When I talked about my daughter's 16 years old. She's not a kid anymore. So yeah. When I was talking about waiting on my daughter, I was talking about my eldest. Yeah. The little one's not watching this X-Men. The oldest son, he's afraid of everything. He's afraid of any and everything. As soon as it gets the slightest bit spooky, this man is walking towards the steps. So trust me, they weren't watching that anyway. X-Men 97 is for me. Really, it is for me. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, I need your fam to get you a number 1 Jack Saint jersey, home, away, and alternate. Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. Okay. I heard your jokes. Okay. I had an Eagles fan say, hey, I think this kid's got something to him. Howie wanted him. I was like, well, Howie could have had his ass. Howie could have had his ass. And then somebody was like, well, he didn't really run a 4.81. He ran a 4.61 at his pro day. And I'm like, are you sitting here trying to like justify this dude with a 4.61? You know who else ran a 4.61? Colston Yankoff, a 6'4", 233-pound tight end, ran a 6'1", 195-pound receiver. Okay, what are we talking about here? I was like, unless this dude is Jarvis Landry, unless he's Juice Landry, which he is not, what are we talking about here? Devon Ducare, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I need you on MusicHead talking about Euphoria right now. So that upload finally finished. And as soon as I'm done here, which we're pretty much done here, I am going to jump over there and finish this upload so you guys can have at it. So finally, it's done. I can upload it so I don't have to do anything that I didn't want to do tomorrow. So I'm happy. I'm happy that it finally finished. Boy, it took forever. Jeez Louise. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. Thank you guys for joining me, as always. Y'all know what it is. Post up. Take command. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys next time. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the basketball. Be plenty of it. And we will come back. If you are a consumer of the Louie T Network podcast, I'll see you tomorrow. If you're not, then I will see you next week. And we will do this all over again. And if you're not subscribed to MusicHead University, now's the time to get in, because we about to really rev it up over there. I got a lot of content coming down the pipeline there. And so get in now while the going I don't know what the hell I was about to say. It sounded so good in my head. Y'all get the hell out of here, man. I appreciate y'all kicking it with the kid. You guys did an excellent job with the exercise tonight. And I think we got a lot of work done. I think what that showed us is this roster, for as bad as it was when this whole process first started, we've come a long way. We've still got a ways to go. Nobody's sitting here trying to convince you that this is an A1 roster ready to compete for something meaningful right now. But what I am telling you is, from where we were at the end of last season, when we were as desolate a roster as there was in the NFL, when we looked at our roster at the end of last season, we said, man, you can't beat nobody with this shit that we put on the field. From that point to where we are now, this is a competitive roster, and we will be in football games, and we will have a chance to win in the fourth quarter of most games we play in this upcoming season. And that right there in itself should make you feel so much better about what has been done over the last 3 months or so to transform this roster. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. God bless. Good night.